Check, check, check. All right, ladies and gentlemen, getting everything up and going here. Let's test all of this. Give me just a second, folks. Give me just a second. Getting everything connected here. Glad you can hear my voice. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Hiker Trash Live. This would be the fourth installment of Hiker Trash Live. As far as I know, to this point, there's no other live talk show. Well, that's not true. I was recently on the Show Brothers Backcountry BSing Live. So every Friday, a quick shout out to the Show Brothers. On Fridays, they have been doing kind of the same thing where they bring in guests and they've been talking about kind of the whole lockdown and everybody not being able to be on trail. And as I told them last week, I was popped in for a second on their cast. I totally ripped them off. So awesome guys. If you guys aren't following them, if you're not checking out their stuff, definitely for today's show. So in the last couple episodes, we've talked a little bit more with guests for a little bit longer, so we're definitely going to bring some guests on today. We're going to have Will Wood, also known as Redbeard, one of my big influences. One of the reasons that I started doing YouTube videos was because he kind of inspired me to do it, and it's going to be great to bring him on here, kind of bring him back from the dead. He's been kind of MIA for like the past year, 2 years. So we're going to chat with him, catch up with him, see where he's been and what he plans on doing in the future. I'm going to be bringing on Bigfoot, also known as Follow Bigfoot, a good buddy of mine that I hiked in Scotland last year with on the TGO Challenge. And then we're also going to hear from Kyle, who is the proprietor of the Trail Tales podcast, also known as Kyle Hates Hiking. We're going to find out why in the hell he hates hiking. I personally love hiking. I think most of you love hiking, so I'm going to find out. I'm going to tap in, find out why he hates hiking. So, but yeah, I wanted to spend a little bit more time answering some questions this time around because I know that I call these a Q&A, but really when I started these, I wanted them to be more like a talk show. I wanted to sit down with some good hiker trash friends of mine and ask questions and just talk. You know, something that I don't get to do a lot because I think all of us kind of sit in a bubble, right? We all kind of sit in our own vacuum and we create content, we put it out, and every once in a while we do a collaboration or we get to do a hike together, like whenever Bigfoot and I went to Scotland last year. But for the most part, we all kind of stick to our own world. So I figured this was a great opportunity to be able to sit down with people and just chat about what they have going on, what their plans are, and kind of how they're getting through this whole strange time that I think that we're all in. That kind of seems like it might be getting a little bit better, I hope. Hopefully you're all doing well through all of this. Hopefully, you know, this stuff isn't affecting you guys too much. You're still able to maybe get outside just a little bit. You know, I know a lot of people have been going out and just camping in their backyard. I had a buddy that thru-hiked his backyard. And then you know, hopefully you have some sort of something close by to where you're able to go out and at least get in a day hike, get out and get some exercise. I think it's really important that we all keep some sort of mental health and definitely physical health during all of this. So hopefully this type of stuff helps. But like I start off with all of these, I'm going to answer a handful of questions over here in the chat box or here or whichever side. I think that they are over here. No, they're over here. I want to answer some questions. So if you have a question for me, throw it over here in the chat box. If for some reason you keep asking the same question and I haven't answered it, chances are I've answered that question multiple times in the past, if not in the last 3 other episodes of Hiker Trash Live. But I've also answered that questions over years of doing Q&As. So if it's a very general question, I tend not to really touch on it, but if I have done a video answering your question, I'll make sure that I let you know if you do ask it. So, and last time we did have a lag in the system. The system kind of went down for a little bit. So I'm really hoping, fingers crossed, that that does not happen on this cast. Hopefully we can all stay connected and get everybody in and it'll all be okay. All right, so let's see what questions we got. Man, we got a lot of comments rolling in. Someone said very low volume. Volume should be up pretty high, actually. You might want to turn the volume on your video. So if you go to the video and you turn the volume up, you can probably get better volume on that, because I am actually spiking out right now. I was an audio engineer for a couple years. I used to own a recording studio, so that's something I always try to really pay attention to. All right, let's see what we have. Go for 4 hours today. No, my plan is to actually lessen the time. You know, I love hanging out with you guys and spending all the time, but 3 hours is way too much. That's using a lot of your time. That's using a lot of my time. So I'm going to try to keep it to a minimum today. Somebody said, please increase your volume. Again, I would suggest probably taking your volume slider on the video. So on your video right now, there's a little volume thing. Turn that all the way up, because on my end, I am at perfect, I'm at perfect level. So it might be your device or your viewer. Somebody asked, is this a screen behind me? No, this is a little bit of soundproofing. So these are soundproofing tiles. I usually hang a mic here, and when I do voiceovers on my videos, working on the film that I put out last year through the Great Southwest, we did some voiceovers for that. We did all of that in front of this. So usually I hang a microphone right here, and then we do all of our voiceovers so we don't get the echo off of the wall. It deadens that sound a little bit. Somebody said Benton Makai Trail or Penn Hodie for beginners. Well, I've never done the Benton Makai Trail. I've only done the Penn Hodie, but I would say the Penn Hodie is a really great trail to do for beginners. It's got some easy hiking. It's got some hard hiking. It's got shelters. It has a pretty fair amount of water in most places, especially once you get into Georgia. It has a very diverse mix of everything you'll kind of get from a thru hike, especially on the East Coast. So in my opinion, because the Penn Hodie is the only trail that I've done out of those two, I would suggest doing the Penn Hodie Trail. But I could be wrong. If anybody out there has any information on the Benton Makai Trail, maybe you know better than I do. But yeah, I've never done the Benton Makai, not yet, so I can't suggest it. Somebody said, I'm on the verge of buying the Altiplex. Can you speak to any condensation issues while using it on the AT? So I will be doing a video in the next coming weeks, kind of a short catch-up review of the Altiplex and my time that I've had with it, both being out on the AT, using it here in Arizona in a drier climate. You know, just kind of not bury the lead, and to let you know right off the bat, all single wall tents have condensation problems, all of them. I've never owned one that doesn't. That being said, I can tell you that owning the Plexamid, which is also a DCF single wall one pole tent, and the Hexamid pocket tarp, again, it is a DCF single wall tarp that uses one trekking pole. The Altiplex has, I've had less condensation in that tent, and I think it's because the pitch is higher. You got more headroom, so more air can circulate in it. At least that is my guess. But yeah, condensation still happens. I still get condensation. It's just a thing you kind of have to deal with if you plan on going with single wall tents. But stay tuned for that video. Someone said, have you ever used an alcohol stove? I have used an alcohol stove. I have never used an alcohol stove on a thru hike, because a lot of the thru hikes that I've done have been in very dry areas, and I just don't think it's responsible to use something like an alcohol stove or a wood burning stove in a dry environment like Arizona, California. All of the PCT, I know that they're banned. So I do have a new alcohol stove though that I'm going to kind of be playing with and testing. I kind of want to do a little bit of a test in a canister stove versus an alcohol stove. I know a lot of people have done that. I'm sure you could find tons of videos on YouTube of that. I've never put that to the test, so that's something that I'm interested in doing. But yeah, stay tuned. Stay tuned for that. I'm sure I will be doing something in the not too distant future. So I'm going to answer one more question. Let's see. I'll answer two more questions. There's so many questions, I don't know which to answer. my opinion on Bivy bags. I've never really used any Bivy bag. I've used a Bivy, and the only Bivy that I've ever used really to put some miles on it out on the trail was the Enlightened Equipment Recon Bivy. But honestly, I think that's more like a kind of a tube tent because it has a mesh top, because it has a long zipper. So it's not really like a bag that you pull over yourself. I've never really used one of those, so don't really have much of an opinion. Somebody said healthy food on trail is hard to do. That's kind of my only answer for that. Let's see. All right. Everything else so far kind of looks like I have answered in the past couple. So if you guys want to go check those out after this, I would suggest that. But I'm going to go ahead and send a message to my first guest, and we will see if we can bring him in real quick and catch up with him. While we are waiting, let's go ahead and let's try to find one more question. Let's see. So someone said beard balm. Yep, I use beard balm. I'm not a beard oil guy. Oil gets too gross and nasty, and not a fan. So I use balm personally. Somebody said status on the Waymark Evolve bag. So yeah, that's the pack that I helped design. If you go over to Waymark's Instagram page, you will find out some status on that. I think Waymark just recently posted a bunch of stuff on Instagram about it, so that's what I would suggest doing. All right, let's see if we can go ahead and get in. Give me just a second, folks. We are dialing them up right now. All right, hold on just a second. Let's get our first guest in. Oh, they're on. I thought I had to bring you up for a second. What's up, man? How are you?
Hey, I'm doing great. How about you?
Good. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you're not familiar with this handsome fellow to my right, your left, my right, everything's reversed in camera world. This is Bigfoot, also known as Follow Bigfoot. How you doing, bud?
I'm doing great.
Yeah?
Ready to be a dad. For those of you that don't know, we are 7 months pregnant. We just got into the third trimester, so have a son coming I'm really excited about. So hopefully a upcoming hiking partner for the rest of my days.
Oh yeah, gotta be, right? It's gotta be a hiking partner.
Yeah, totally. So yeah, that's the big news, man. That's taking up a lot of my time, getting ready for the life shift and everything that brings with it. So, but no, man, I'm doing great. Lucky enough, I'm able to work at home. So this has been home base for everything. And I haven't really been impacted from a work standpoint with this pandemic outside of having to stay at home like a lot of everyone else. So
Sure. So to catch everybody up, I know that you had made a couple you had talked about it lightly before you kind of, I feel fortunate, right? Because today, like, I have you on and I get to bring Redbeard on, which have been like two people that have just been MIA from like the hiking media world, right? So it's fun to kind of catch up with you guys. So I know, and I don't know if you'd released a lot of information, but you had some hikes kind of planned for this year. What were you planning on doing this year?
Yeah, actually, I am planning on doing an FKT. Haven't landed on the exact trail. Have a couple of feelers out there, but I did an FKT last year, my second attempt on the Superior Hiking Trail, and it was a blast. I love the challenge of it, and it's a bug, I guess. I just can't stop itching it. So that
everybody
is something
says it does them.
Yeah. So that's kind of the big one. Probably a couple of weekend trips. My son is coming in July, the end of July. So pretty much life is all about the baby, the son, the family, starting in July. So I don't really have anything past July. The wife wants to go out to the Boundary Waters, which is a national forest in northern Minnesota that I spent a lot of time in, and it's one of my favorite places.
Man, I've heard so much good stuff about that. So many people talk about Boundary Waters, and I've just never been up that way. Pretty good hiking though?
Yeah, so there's hiking trails, but it's really known for is canoeing and portaging. So typically when we go up there, we'll bust butt to get in, somewhere between 10 to 30 miles into the deep woods of the Boundary Waters and set up base camp, and then do a lot of fishing and exploring and just have fun. But the further that you get in, the less remote you are, and there's just or the more remote that you are, and you don't see as many people. Even on the outskirts of the Boundary
Yeah.
Waters, there's not a lot of people, but I like to kind of be secluded, which is great. You kind of feel like they don't even let airplanes fly over parts of the Boundary Waters, so
Really?
you literally are, yeah, you're in places that probably haven't changed in hundreds, maybe even 1,000 years. But you also, if you're lucky, you can see the Northern Lights, which is
Ooh.
incredible. Yeah,
Oh, that's
yeah.
that's that's big on, a lot of people ask me like, what's on your bucket list? And I don't really make a bucket list because I'm just like, well, if I want to go do something, I'll do whatever I can to go do it real quick. But that is something, I guess, if I had to have a bucket list, like that would be pretty high on the bucket list. I've always wanted to see that. That's amazing that you can see that up there.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there's no light pollution when you're that far north, and it's incredible. My favorite thing to do is actually head out in the canoe in the middle of the night and just sit and bask under the stars. Maybe have an alcoholic beverage. It's not really ultra light when you're out there canoeing and portaging, so you can
Ah,
bring some
yeah,
heavier
why
stuff.
not?
So yeah, things work.
An
Yeah, yeah.
alcoholic
But it's a
beverage,
blast. Yeah.
an unnamed alcoholic beverage. Fill in the blank, folks. whatever
Yeah,
tickles your fancy, whatever your poison is.
yeah. An adult beverage.
Or not, have a LaCroix.
Yeah.
So for all the folks that are watching that, I know every time that I'm talking to somebody about an FKT, people don't really, I think there's a lot of people that don't know what an FKT is. So first off, for anyone that's watching that doesn't understand what an FKT is, it's fastest known time. There's a couple different ways that you can do it, supported or unsupported. Or what last night we were talking about, there's three. There's unsupported, supported, and
Self-supported.
self-supported. So
Yep.
Bigfoot last year set the FKT on the Superior hiking trail. Now, do you still hold it on the Superior?
Yeah. Yep.
Nice.
Yep. And that one was unsupported. So really the
Unsupported.
difference between them, yep, unsupported is whatever you start with, that's all you get. There's no resupplies. You can't pick up food somewhere when you walk past a gas
Right.
station or do a food drop. Whereas self-supported, as long as you do everything with your two legs, everything is legal. You can stop, get a burger somewhere. You can make food drops, and then of course supported. I think most people are familiar with. So,
Sure.
yeah, a lot of folks are going more towards the supported records, just because it's so much easier on the
Well,
body.
yeah.
Unsupported is tough. I mean, because depending on how many miles the trail is, you're carrying a lot of food. I mean, when I started the SHT, Superior Hiking Trail, the SHT, I think I had like 29 pounds in my pack. Now my base weight was like 7 pounds.
So how
So
many days? How many days of food was that?
I brought 8 days,
8 days.
8 days of food, just over 8. I literally ended with 1.5 bars. So I think it was like
That's
perfect.
good. You came out ahead.
Yeah, yeah, it was. I used every piece of toilet paper, by the way. So things were getting dire at the end. But yeah, no, it's gnarly. I had a blast, but it is it's tough though. It's tough mentally. It's tough physically. And I don't know. The unsupported piece to me is what always attracts me. I think I have a little bit more of an advantage just with the hiking that I've done.
Sure.
I'm not the most trim and fit person. I'm not an ultra marathon runner. So these folks that are doing these supported and self-supported definitely have a huge advantage over me.
Yeah.
Where I think when you go to the unsupported, it's kind of a mix between ultra marathon running and hiking, and I have a little bit of advantage just with my
Sure.
experience. So
It's awesome, man. I'm pretty excited to find out. I know we chatted a lot last night, kind of setting all this up, but I'm excited to know which trail you end up going with to go try to tackle. I'm really interested, especially from the conversation. You guys can't know that yet, but from that secret conversation, I'm excited to know which one you
yeah,
choose to do, for sure. So what is I guess kind of going forward, now with the little one coming and with trying to get in, are you going to try to focus more on smaller stuff to kind of fit in, and kind of put the bigger hikes on the back burner for a little bit, or are you still maybe kind of thinking about weaving something in the next couple of years?
Yeah, I'm gonna kind of just pull a Darwin and just kind of wing it and see what kind of floats and what sticks. My wife is great. She's allowed me to do everything I've done 4 or 5 years, hiking over 4,000 miles, and still being
Yeah,
able to somehow work a full-time job while I do all that, but keep the wife happy.
it's hard to do
I would love
sometimes.
to do the piece. Oh yeah, oh totally, totally. Um, she knows I would love to do the PCT. That's a big one, but it's definitely, I feel like it's definitely irresponsible to even have thoughts about that right now. I have a family coming, and I can't even ponder the thought of leaving a son, and missing 3 or 4 months of his life. So,
Yeah, man.
I don't know. Short trips for sure. Yeah, short trips for sure. There's a couple trips I like to do in Europe. That's another bug I have, is just
Oh yeah.
international hiking. And I
Yeah,
mean,
I got
the
the
last
same
couple of
bug when
years.
yeah, I got the same bug when we went over to Scotland last year. I was just like, ooh, I need to do so much more of this.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, just seeing the culture, it's so different than the States.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Uh, and I don't know. I've done now 2 international hikes, Scotland with you, and then the Tour de Mont Blanc. Because if anyone's interested in a great hike, the TMB, I'm telling you, it probably ranks up there for me on
That's
all
what
the
I've
hikes that
heard.
I've been. And it's only like 105 or 110 miles or something. So
Yeah.
logistically, it's actually pretty simple.
I've
But
never heard someone talk bad about that hike. Never, not
I
once.
I haven't. I haven't either. Yeah, it's incredible. And you get out there and you hike it, and you find out real fast. So,
Right.
yeah. So I mean, that is a trail that I can definitely say I will hike again. I'm not big on wanting to hike a trail multiple times, because I'd rather go out and hike something new, something I haven't
Sure.
seen
Yeah.
or done.
Totally.
But that one easily, I want to do that one. I'd do that one 5 times again. I mean, it's incredible.
Maybe I'll tag along on the next one. I'd love to go do it, man.
Yeah.
Love
Yeah.
to.
Yeah, we'll have to talk about that. That's incredible. And the great part is you don't need to take an extended amount of time
Yeah.
to commit to it, which is awesome, especially for my time frame. That's probably going to be happening here in my new
Sure.
life starting in the middle of summer. So
Be doing a lot of juggling, man. A lot of what is
I
that?
know.
I'm trying to make a. Never mind.
What I
That
got about
card
five.
game.
Oh, yeah. Are you talking about with the
Yeah.
balls?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I got about 5 balls I'm juggling right now, but in like 60 days, it might be like 13. Which I'm sure you had mentioned, Darwin. I have been kind of quiet in YouTube the last 4 or 5 months. I got married. I did the FKT, got married. We literally got pregnant like the week after we got married. Which
Wow.
when we look at the date of conception, uh, it is down to pretty much one day, and it's my favorite day of the year, which is Halloween.
Halloween.
If anyone, yeah, I love Halloween. We've talked about this.
Oh yeah.
So when we backtrack, actually, that is the date. It definitely wasn't our wedding night, because we weren't in any condition to consummate. But the funny part is, we actually found out about a son. Like, we found out the gender of our baby on Friday the 13th. Like, it just
Oh, that's
happened that.
perfect.
No, I know. Like, all these things,
Perfect.
and we didn't intentionally try to make these happen that way. So, yeah, things happen for a reason. But anyway, with all of those things happening, and November was a busy month for me for work. I just was totally burnt out, and I had to take a few-month break.
Totally.
So, getting back into the swing of things, I did post a few videos. I think a few weeks ago. I'm working on a video I'll probably post tomorrow. So I'm trying to get back into
Nice.
things. Yeah, yeah, but I tell you, it's kind of difficult when you take an extended amount of time off to get back in. It's easy to say, I can wait another week. I can wait another week. I can prioritize this. I have this going on. So it's just hard to get back into the swing of things. And once I get back into it, it's much easier. But that's kind of
Totally.
like where I'm at right now.
Right.
So
Right on. Well, man, hopefully all this stuff ends soon. And like, here, I guess publicly, and I see a bunch of comments coming in. congrats. Like, congrats on everything. I mean, I know that I've shot you a text on all of those things, but like, yeah, that's so much stuff to like do, right? Like back to back to back, like FKT, get married, have a, like, be pregnant. So congrats, man.
Thanks.
And yeah, hopefully once all this stuff ends, you get a little bit of free time, and I'm back here. Like you definitely need to come out to Arizona. We can do some hiking out here, and go
Yeah,
check some stuff out. Get you in a different environment that you're not used to.
I would love to. I would love to. Yeah. Like I said, I was down in Tucson in February. I wish I could have looked you up, but I just didn't have time. I did go for a hike though. I went for a
Nice.
little yeah, just it was like a I don't know, 8 mile morning hike before
Yeah.
we got into our little convention thing. But yeah, I would love to do some hiking down in Arizona.
Yeah,
I have
man.
hardly any experience down in that area, so that'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah, let's definitely plan on it. Let's definitely do it. Well, Bud, stay safe, and good luck with everything, and keep me updated, and keep all of us updated for, it's pretty private stuff, but somewhat keep everyone updated.
Absolutely. I'll do that, man.
All
Great
right,
talking with
Bud.
you.
Yeah, you too. I'll see you soon.
All right.
Bye.
Bye guys. Everyone.
All right, folks. So big thanks for Bigfoot for jumping on here and chatting with us. Um, Such a fun dude to be around. He's one of the funnest guys I think that I've hiked with. I've hiked with a lot of different people over the years here and there. And there was a point in Scotland. If you go watch the Scotland videos, you'll know that there was like a couple days where him and I just kind of hiked together. We were kind of wanting to put in some bigger miles and hike a little bit faster than what some of the other guys that were with us wanted to do. So we just kind of took off and did our own thing. And just a great dude, super fun to hike with, super funny. And yeah, hopefully we can get him down once all this is cleared up and he gets a little bit of free time and he's not too crazy busy raising a kid, and we can get him out here to Arizona and do some hiking again together. All right, so before we bring in our next guest, let me look back through here and see if there's some questions that I can answer. Man, way back. There's all kinds of stuff. Let's see, folks. Somebody said, "Who is that?" That was Bigfoot. In case you missed that entire conversation, that was Bigfoot. Uh, so many different questions. Do you still use the recovery socks? Here and there, I'll use a set of recovery socks. I would assume that you're talking about the shin or the quad, not the quad, the calf sleeves that I used out on the PCT. Every once in a while, if I have a really rough hike or if I come back from like a really intense run, I'll slap those on just to kind of kill some of that compression. But I haven't really used them on trail since. They do, one of the big downfalls of using something like a compression sock or compression sleeve, at least for me, is it does compress my muscle and I almost feel like my muscle can't breathe. I have some pretty big calves, so it can definitely kind of hinder me a little bit. All right, got a super chat in here. Hike to Change, what's up, Hike to Change? Said, is there a way to connect the Florida Trail and others to the AT to do the whole East Coast? Yeah, so that would be called the Eastern Continental Trail. So if you go back after this and watch the episode that we had Jupiter hikes on, Jupiter's done that, and basically it's starting at Key West, doing the Florida Trail, and then you basically road walk from the Florida Trail to the Hodie Trail, then you hike the Hodie Trail, then you hike some of the Benton Makai Trail to the start of the AT, and then you take that all the way up to Maine. So yeah, that is definitely a hike that you can do, and one of my personal idols, one of my kind of favorite, I guess, hiking legends, Nimble Nomad. He is very famous for doing that and writing a great book on that. So yeah, that is called the Eastern Continental, and definitely check that out. It is definitely something that you can do, no problem. All right, man, there's so many questions. Let me kind of skip through some of these real quick. Let's see. What do we got? Somebody said Camino, maybe. I get a question a lot if I'm ever going to go do the Camino de Santiago. It would be fun. It's not really on my list right now. If I was going to do it, I think that I would take one of the more rural routes, one of the lesser done routes, because I met a guy out on the AT in 2015 who had basically done every single route. So there's multiple routes of the Camino, and he talked a lot about, if somebody knows and wants to leave a comment, I can't think of the name of it, but it's a very rural route. So it's not as heavily used. It goes a lot more through the countryside. That's probably the one that I would be interested in. But right now, I think there's a lot of other hikes over in Europe that I would do before I done the Camino. So it's on the list for sure, but it might be a while before I jump into that. All right, so let's see. Who do we have next? Or what do we have next? Somebody said +1 for review of the Z-Packs Pocket Tarp with doors. So I actually don't have my Z-Packs Pocket Tarp with doors anymore. I actually gifted that to a friend. I used it for a while. It was great. It was fun to use, but I ended up buying the Altiplex. So when I bought the Altiplex, there wasn't really a big need for me to have the Hexamid anymore. So I ended up giving mine to a good friend of mine, just as a gift. He needed a new shelter, wanted something super light, wanted a tarp, and I didn't think that I was really going to use it a lot because my Altiplex is pretty lightweight and it does pack down pretty small. So I ended up gifting that to him. But I hear that Bigfoot might be doing a review of one. Hopefully I didn't give anything away on that, but he might be doing a review of his. So RJ Hikes sent a super chat. Thanks, RJ. Appreciate it, man. And says, I was hoping to get to meet Nimblewheel Nomad, but the Alabama conference is officially canceled. Maybe next year. Yeah, so Nimblewheel actually sent me an email a couple weeks ago and told me that he actually had to shut down Flag Mountain and he is staying with some friends and family somewhere in Missouri right now. So I don't even think that he's up there. Even if you were to go to Flag Mountain, I think Nimblewheel is unfortunately gone right now, being safe with friends and family. So thank you so much for the super chat, RJ. I really appreciate it. All right, let's see. Somebody said, oh, Camino del Norte? Is it the Camino del Norte? Yes. That sounds right. That's what I heard. So apparently that is the very rural route. Yeah. Let's see. Hello. Two other. Somebody said I've done the GR20 and it was incredible. Yeah, so the GR20 is definitely on my list. That is something that I would do before doing the Camino. So that is something that I have put a lot of thought into. And hopefully in the next couple of years, we'll see kind of where everything goes and some of the other projects that I'm doing in the next couple of years. But I would love to go do the GR20 for sure. West Highland Way, another great thing that I would love to do. Patagonia, would love to go hike Patagonia. It is on my bucket list of bucket list hikes. So I would love to do that as well. Someone says my comments are disappearing. Not sure why. Someone says, how's Snuggles? Snuggles is good. She is actually, I was trying to talk her into maybe jumping on camera and talking for a little bit, but she didn't seem too crazy interested, so I wasn't going to force her, but she's good. She's good. She is here with me. I think she's running some errands right now, but she's great. Hopefully we will be able to do a trip together this fall. That's usually the time that we do a trip together. So I usually have my hiking season in the spring, which obviously I can't do right now. And then once all of that's done, basically at the end of summer into fall is usually when we do a trip together. So we did the Timberline Trail together last year. The year before that, we did the Blue Ridge Parkway, a bike tour. So, yeah, we'll get something planned, and we will definitely do something this week. Someone said it's from people spamming. I don't know what that means. All right, so I'm not seeing any questions. Again, if you have a question, leave it over here, and I will definitely try to answer it. But if nobody has any other questions, I will go ahead and bring in the next guest. let's see. Send our next guest a message real quick. And what I'm going to do is once I get all of my guests in, we talk with them, I'm going to answer a bunch of questions. So if you do have a question for me, stick around for the end. I'm going to try to not go as long this time, but definitely stick around for the end. And I will, sorry, reading comments. I will definitely answer a bunch of questions. Somebody said real quick, when will you have Jupiter on? So you missed Jupiter. Jupiter was on 2 weeks ago on Hiker Trash Live 2. You can go find that video. It should be in my list of videos. But yep, we did have Jupiter on along with, who else did we have on? Second Chance and Legend. So go check that episode out if you haven't already. All right, let me send my next guest a message real quick. And let's see. Whoop. That wasn't him. All right. So let me get everything connected here real quick, folks. All right. I can see you. I can hear you. Nobody else can yet. I can. Let me get you up here. All right, folks. So my next guest is somebody that I'm pretty jacked about. I love saying my next guest because it makes me sound like David Letterman or something. I'm not that cool. Not David Letterman cool. But my next guest is somebody I'm pretty jacked about bringing on because, well, we'll find out here in a second. That would be this gentleman here. How are we doing, good sir? Nice.
Doing good, man. Doing good. How are you?
Excellent, bud. So for any of you folks that might not know who this handsome gentleman is with this beautiful red beard next to me, this would be Redbeard, also known as Will Wood, also known as Following Redbeard, also known as Redbeard Hikes. Is that right?
Yeah, and the old-fashioned farmstead. You know, we got a few things going on. So.
Yes, and the proprietor of a farm.
Yeah.
Where you guys do a lot of basically all like grain-fed and stuff, right?
Yeah, it's pasture-raised poultry. It's kind of what we started off doing, and so we have about 10 acres here in Florida, outside of Gainesville, Florida, and we started off just raising a few chickens, kind of for ourselves and for family and friends, and it's just kind of exploded from that, man. And we raise them on our pasture, and we supplement them with non-GMO organic feed. Awesome. They get fresh grass every day, multiple times a day, actually. At some points, we move them twice a day. And then we also have pigs as well that are raised in our forest. We have a forested lot as well.
Nice.
And let's see what else we got. Turkeys and ducks. Yeah.
Man, I'm gonna have to get you guys to like ship me some stuff. Do you guys ship?
Right now we're only really able to operate in Florida, but we are working on shipping. But it'll probably we really want to stay more localized right now. That's kind of our focus. And so our scale, we don't want to get too large. We really want to be more of a small farm. So we'll probably be servicing kind of the Gainesville area and Florida area initially.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, you know, I wanted to bring up for everybody that's watching, you know, a lot of people will always ask me kind of some of the people that inspired me to A, start through hiking, but B, start all of this, because as I've told a lot of people, I didn't have any plans on doing any of this. Like I went out to do the AT and didn't film any of it. I shot a couple crappy photos on my phone, but this man's videos are what inspired me. I saw him sitting in front of a camera, holding up a backpack or a tent, talking about it, and I'm like, I think that I can do that. I'm pretty sure that I can do that. So you were a huge driving force into what got me to start doing YouTube videos in the first place. So one, thank you for kind of inspiring to lead me down a really weird path for like the last 5 years. But yeah, man, it's funny. Whenever you went out to do the AT, it was 2014, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2014. Yeah.
You were one of only two people. I mean, I'm sure there were other people at the time, but I didn't know what a hiking vlogger was. Somebody like that was vlogging their hike. I didn't know what that was. And I think I remember stumbling on your videos because you had done something with gear. There was some gear video that you had done. I was just searching stuff and I found it. And then I noticed your hiking videos, and I was like, oh wow, people do this. People film their hike. So it was you and Loner on the AT
Cool. One on
2012.
the
Yeah,
AT. Yep.
yeah.
I know him.
So what inspired you, man? What inspired you to start kind of filming all your stuff?
Yeah. Well, I mean, first off, I love the mountains and I just love being in nature, as do most of us, I would imagine. And when I was back in high school and college, I would go fly fishing a lot, and I would bring a camera along with me and just kind of film just me and my friends, not for YouTube, not for anything like
Yeah.
that, just more for personal memories, And so when the opportunity came up for me to be able to hike the Appalachian Trail, I had actually been watching a guy on YouTube that did it the year before me. So
All
2013
right.
Eagle Runner, and he filmed his hike on YouTube. And honestly, there really wasn't many people
No.
doing it. He might have been one of the only. Well, Loner on the AT. There were a few people, but it wasn't very popular. So I watched his stuff, and it was really cool. And I thought it would be a good way for my friends and family to be able to just see what was going on, and what that journey and experience is like. And I just really, the reason I started doing it too is just I have such a love for the outdoors. So I just wanted to share that, with as many
Totally.
people as I could. And I mean, I never thought it would turn into what it ended up turning into, but it was a great experience, and I very much enjoyed it.
Yeah, man. I remember it was Loner, and I'm pretty sure that I saw your videos before I'd seen anyone's videos. As far as like a YouTube hiking
Hmm.
video, it was you remember
Yeah.
Syntax 77? He still makes videos.
Hmm.
So
Hmm. Oh
Syntax
yeah,
videos
yeah.
that was my first introduction to hiking videos, where he's talking about gear and he's out doing a trip. And then it was your videos, then it was Loner, and then Joe Brewer, who's now
Yeah, yep,
backcountry
yep.
banter, which I think did he hike the same year as you, or was it the year before?
I think he was always a year ahead of me, because I remember reaching out to him as well with some questions about the hike. So I think he did it the year before. I know, again, I know he did some of the other ones the year before me. So I would imagine the year before.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the first time I had ever heard the term Cuban fiber was out of Joe's mouth, except for it was, yeah, well, at the time it was Cuban fiber, not DCF, what we all know
Yeah.
now. But
DCF.
yeah, man, it
Yeah.
was wild. And I remember watching a DIY video where he made a wallet out of a Tyvek envelope that he got from the post office, and I was like,
Yeah.
wow, hiking
Yeah.
YouTube videos are great, and that's what got me
That's so
into it.
cool.
Yeah,
That's so cool.
yeah, man. So
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's cool. It's a small world, a small world in the hiking community, and that's another thing I just love about it so much. It's you go to these trail events, and you see your old friends, people you've met on the hikes. You run into people you haven't met. I just love it. I love the hiking community. It's so cool.
yeah, man. So, I think a lot of people have been, I've been kind of making a joke, and I did a little live thing over on Instagram before we hopped on here to tell everybody to come on over. And I think I said something about like, I'm gonna bring Redbeard back, like, because he's been MIA for so long. So I think a lot of people are like super. I knew I was excited, and this is coming from a Redbeard fanboy. Like I was excited to see you posting some photos from some of your past hikes on your Instagram page.
Yeah.
I was like, oh,
Yeah.
sweet.
Yeah.
Like maybe he's going to do something again. So what are the plans kind of coming up? Are you gonna dust the old hiking shoes off and get back on trail, or?
Yeah, yeah, I'm definitely going to do some hiking for sure. It's been almost a year and a half, really. I've done some small little things that I left the cameras at home for,
Sure.
but it's been about a year and a half, and pretty much focusing. I was with Z-Packs, so once I transitioned away from Z-Packs, I had also my wife and I had already started our farm, and I was living about 3.5 hours away from Z-Packs and working for them remotely. So when I transitioned over, it was my primary focus was the farm.
Right.
And then I also had another full-time job as well. So I was so busy that I couldn't make hiking work. I think if I was not in Florida,
Yeah.
it wouldn't be a big deal. I could hit the mountains on the weekend or something. But being down here in Florida, it does make it a little bit more difficult. But
Sure.
one of the great things about transitioning to the farm, and which is just another passion, is that it does give me a little bit more of an opportunity to schedule out hikes. And so, yeah, I mean, I was really hoping to do a few hikes this summer, and it still could happen. We'll see what happens with this virus and everything. But obviously right now I'm just kind of waiting for that to get past, and I'm going to start doing some hikes again. Yeah.
Nice, man.
Nothing too crazy. I'm not, I'm married, my wife and I, this farming isn't something you can just walk away from for very long. So it'll be shorter stuff, but that's kind of what I want to do right now anyways. When it comes to hikes, I don't have much of a desire to do super long 2,000+ mile hikes. I'm more looking at 100 miles. I'm looking at the Wind River Range and hoping to do that this early fall. Yeah, so me and a buddy are starting to kind of talk about that, and I've always wanted to go there.
It's funny. I've never, every time like you talk to anybody about the CDT, like doing the whole CDT or hiking up north anywhere, like people will not stop talking about the winds. Like they just, I know a guy who is, a triple crowner and has hiked a ton of miles, and he said like when he saw the winds for the first time, it like made him shed a tear. That it was so beautiful. So like that like draws me, like that totally hooks me right off the bat. Makes me want to go do it.
Yeah, and I mean I've been to a lot of cool places for sure, but that experience, I think I've only had an experience truly like that in Patagonia. The two, what do they call them? The towers, the famous location there. I'm sure someone will comment in the comments, but it blew me away. I've never had that kind of feeling, honestly. Just from seeing something so magnificent and so beautiful. So yeah, the winds, I've seen pictures, I've watched some videos. I think Adventure Allen, I think is his tag. Yeah. He, it looks incredible, and I've always wanted to do it. So hopefully a buddy of mine, Jason, hopefully we'll be able to do that, and maybe a few other people as well.
Yeah, man, I got to get you out into Arizona sometime. We've been, I feel like we've been trying to hike together since like 2017.
Yeah, we have. It hasn't worked out yet, but I'd be down, man. Arizona Trail. Everybody talks about that one a lot, and it's something just to do some sections. I'd like to do the whole thing, and one day, but some sections would be cool.
Yeah, man,
definitely.
For sure. You should definitely come out. We'll do some, or maybe I'll come up and. I don't know. It's so many people have been trying to. What are your thoughts since you live in Florida? What are your thoughts on the Florida Trail? What's your thoughts of a resident of Florida?
It's I'll be honest. When I first went on some hikes, I was looking for it to be in nature, that kind of thing. I wasn't really too excited about it because I love the mountains, and so the thought of hiking flat land wasn't very appealing. And boy, I really got to say I was wrong about that. It's incredible. Not the whole thing, obviously. I haven't done the whole thing. I've only done a few hundred miles, kind of picked the better sections. So like Ocala National Forest and Osceola National Forest. There's some absolutely beautiful places. And, the wildlife down here, it's insane. There's just so many different types of animals, birds. So you really, if you just love nature, and you like being out in it, it's still an incredible trail. And actually it goes not too far from my farm, to a community called, I think Lake Butler is the closest little area. So that's like 10, 15 minutes from my house. So that's pretty cool. And the Florida Trail Association, they do such a good job maintaining it, because they really have to come in there before the start of the hiking season, which is winter time, and they've got to clear it out. The forests down here are so thick, and so it's a lot of work, and they do a great job. And they're located right here in Gainesville, near the University of Florida. So it's really, really cool what they do. And yeah, I highly recommend the Florida Trail, but it is different. And I will say this too. It's not easy.
That's what I've heard, man.
I've
heard it's very
I had more issues.
Big misconception about the trail, because like everybody thinks like, well, it's flat. It's got to be super easy.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think the thing that was so tough for me with it was just the fact that you have the same motion with every step. So you're not climbing, you're not, descending. So you're really just hitting the same muscles, the same parts of your feet over and over again. And so I've had more reoccurring little injuries from hiking on the Florida Trail. So yeah, it's a little easier on the lungs for sure than mountain hiking, but it's got its challenges
Yeah,
still.
I would think just walking through a lot of the water and stuff as well.
Oh
Like
yeah,
I've
yeah.
definitely doing the Gila on the CDT through New Mexico, like doing all that water crossing. But like at least you're like crossing your dry, then you cross your dry. But on the Florida Trail, you're just wet for like a long time.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, definitely for large stretches, but we did a hike called the Ocean to Lake or Ocean to
Yeah,
Lake
yeah.
Trail down there. And that one was underwater for about 60-70% of the entire hike. And it was about a 60+ mile hike. So that was different. But honestly, it wasn't too bad besides kind of little extra blister
Yeah.
issue. But that was a cool experience, you
Yeah,
know?
Jupiter talks really big game about that little trail. I think he's
Oh,
done it a
yeah.
couple times and like loves it.
He's kind of like the king of that trail, I
Yeah,
think. I think he's probably done it more than a couple times.
for sure.
Yeah, he's awesome. I think I know he used to live somewhere decently close to it.
Yeah,
So,
he's an Arizona boy
but
now.
now,
He's out here in
oh,
AZ.
is
Yeah,
really?
yeah, he's down around
No
Phoenix and
way.
stuff right now. Yeah.
Okay,
He's
cool,
trying to
cool.
become a
Yeah,
desert rat, I guess, like the rest of us.
yeah, yeah. That sounds cool. That sounds cool.
Man, I'm really excited to see you get back out on trail and see what you do in the next year. And I really
Yeah,
hope that we can get together and do some hiking for sure. You want to answer some questions? Want to see if there's some questions over here?
yeah, man.
So if
Definitely.
anybody has any questions, for I got to keep like the camera's always opposite. So for
Yeah, it's
Redbeard,
weird.
if anybody has any questions, if you want to leave them over here, I'll kind of cycle through there and we'll see if we have anything that we can ask him before we let him get back to his hard farming work. Way harder than anything that I'm doing today, I'm sure. Let's see. We got a little bit of a lag, so people are still laughing about Desert Rat. Um,
Okay.
yeah, I saw you unloading like a bunch of like grain and stuff today. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. We had, gosh, about almost 3 tons of feed were delivered here today. And actually, we're excited about it because it's the first. Well, we've been working with this local mill here he's been developing some organic feed, and that's something that for Florida you just can't find. And so he's kind of one of the first ones to do it. So we're super excited. And today was like one of our biggest deliveries we've ever had in feed. And our business has just ramped up dramatically
Nice.
the last year or so. But really, the last few months have just been crazy. So yeah, we had a lot of feed come in. And yeah, there's always stuff to do here. That's for sure. A lot of work.
Yeah, man.
But it's cool. I like it. I get to be
Get to be
outside. And for
rustic.
me, yeah, and it keeps me in good shape, which I love, and I'd much rather be doing something like that than sitting at the desk, and I've done plenty of that too. So
Right.
this is a little bit more rewarding.
So somebody said they really enjoyed your videos on the long trail. So,
Hmm.
um,
Yeah, that was a great hike.
yeah, man, I
Yeah.
really want to get up and do that for sure. Somebody asked, are you still sporting the Sony? Are you still going to be filming with the little Sony camera that you used for a long time?
Yeah, I still have that camera, and most likely that's what I'm going to use right now. But to be honest with you, I haven't. I need to start looking into the cameras that I'm going to use because there's just been a lot of changes. I
Wow,
mean, it's been a year and a half,
yeah,
I think, since I made a video. So, but right now that's what I'm using.
nice. Somebody said, I don't know if you want to give it out yet, but ooh, this is an interesting question. Probably we can both touch on. I'll let
Mhm.
you touch on first. Somebody said, is it too late to get into the vlogging scene for hiking? What are your thoughts on that?
I don't think it's too late at all. Yeah, I mean, all you got to do is go out there. If that's something that you're passionate about, just do it. And it's fun because again, I never had the intention of a lot of people seeing the videos, and it feels really good. It's very rewarding. The messages that I get from people over the years, it's just been incredible. And so definitely, if you have a desire to do it, just do it. And I mean, you might feel a little weird at first. And if you go back and watch some of my first videos, they were pretty bad.
That's how
So
I
you
feel.
get more used to talking in front of a camera. I'm sure
Oh
you know
man,
this. And
every once in a while I'll go do it just to like encourage myself a little bit. Like I'll, because we're all our
yeah,
own worst critic. Like I'll put something out new
yeah,
and I'll just be like, oh, it's terrible, and then I'll have to go watch something from like 3 years ago to be like, nah, it's all right.
it's not too bad. Yeah, totally. I mean, I think the weirdest thing for me was, other people, like, especially when I did the 18, no one was really vlogging. So, a lot of people would say, oh, that looks like I wouldn't want that guy around when he's vlogging. But the other cool thing about vlogging is people don't even know. People that hike with me hardly knew that I was filming, because you get so good at just hiking and shooting and really not stopping. A lot of times I just start talking and filming myself, and people, there's no one around. So
Yeah.
it's you don't have to worry about, disturbing people. And I'm also very conscious of others. So there's no way I'm going to walk up on some cliff and not think about those around me.
Yeah.
And that's something I've seen people not be courteous. So that would be a one piece of advice I would offer, is just be courteous to those around you, and don't ruin someone else's experience out there. And that's kind of something I try to make sure I do. So if you were around me, you might not even realize that I'm vlogging. That's kind of how I like to do
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, and you guys know my thoughts on it. Like I think that everybody, like whether it's vlogging or taking photos or writing or anything, like create something while you're out on trail, because whenever you get to
Mhm.
get off the trail and you're missing it and you get to go back and look at that stuff, like every time I get to edit a video from trail, I get to relive the hike and I get to see it again. And
Yeah,
it's so
I
great.
say that all the
Yeah,
time.
it's great to be able to do that. So yeah,
Yeah.
I don't think it's too late. Definitely start that. So see, we'll ask you two more questions. Um, someone said favorite made for TV movie. We're not answering that. Uh, um,
Oh no.
I don't know if you're ready to give it away on here. Maybe you're not. Someone said they said Big Four, but I would say three. I still call it Big Three. They said, "What's your Big Three gear right now? What's your current Big Three?" Or do you want to not give that away yet?
Well, right now, no, I don't mind. Again, I haven't really done. I've been doing more kayaking than hiking,
Ooh,
so I really am kind of shopping around for my big three. But I still have some of my Z-Packs gear. I had quite a bit, so I gave some to friends and sold some as well. So, but I do have a new backpack from Waymark Gear
hmm,
that I'm super excited to try. I mean, I've used it a few times, but I haven't really put it through the ringer yet. And it's really cool. It's small, which is great. I like it's smaller than the Z-Pack stuff that I use, so it's really kind of made me reconsider some of the stuff that I'm bringing. But I really like that, and that's going to be kind of the backpack that I'm going to be trying out. But as
nice.
far as my tent and sleeping bag, it's going to be hard for me to walk away from the duplex tent, because it's just so good.
It's a good
And I
tent.
really, I look at some of the other companies that are producing tents, and some of the designs look pretty cool, but for me, I've just spent so much time in my duplex tent that it's kind of
At the
hard
end
to
of the
leave
day, you got to
that,
use what like works, that's tried and true. That
Yeah.
yeah,
But I mean, I'm excited to see, there's so many cottage companies, popping up all over the
yeah,
place. So, who knows? I can't wait to see what the community continues to create and where we're going to be, 5 years from now
yeah.
with the type of gear that we're carrying. Because again, in 2014, when I did the AT, hardly anyone was ultralight on the East Coast, at least. West Coast is probably a different story. Uh, and it was really cool experience to go back a couple years later and just see the transformation. Most everybody's using lighter gear, and that's a pretty cool thing.
Right. Yeah, man, it's been pretty wild to kind of see just the advancements that have happened in the last year, and it's great to see all of these small cottage companies kind of pushing the boundaries and pushing the advancements. And
Hmm.
it's funny. I
Hmm.
think something I've noticed in like the last 5 years is a lot of the bigger dogs, a lot of the big companies are kind of watching what the small people are doing, the small cottage companies, and almost kind of emulating it, and
Yeah,
like
yeah,
almost like letting that be a
yeah,
test field and letting the small guys innovate, and then almost like, I don't want to say rip off, but then looking at it, because
yeah,
everybody borrows from everybody. That's just kind of, we're all mocking
yeah.
birds. That's how
It
we
seems
are.
the designs. I mean, it's like you can find duplex tents that not the exact design. Joe really did a great job with
Yeah.
certain aspects that made that tent so
Right.
popular. But you can see that shaped tent,
Everywhere.
50
Yeah.
years ago. I mean, canvas style tent look very similar. So yeah, it's just those like small little details that really
Just little
can make a
advancements.
big change.
Yeah, man. Absolutely. Let's see
Yeah.
if we got one more on here. Let's. Um, oh, we'll go with this one. I guess on the topic of gear, favorite purchase. I guess the way they're wording it, favorite purchase of $100 or less. So, like, I guess if you had to buy a piece of gear for $100 or less, what's been the best thing you bought? Here you go. I'll put a twist on the question. What's been the best thing you've bought under $100 that is tried and true that you're still using and that like you can't find something better for it?
Man, I'm trying to think. There's so many great pieces of gear under 100 that I really love. I always say this, and in a lot of my videos, I've wrestled with that. I think my favorite thing, probably under $100, is my little seat pad that I use.
The ass
It's
pad.
just the basic one. I know it sounds so
No.
crazy, and the funny thing is like I remember seeing people using it, and I was like, I don't know, that's just kind of stupid, and they're like, no, just sit down on it. And so I picked that up along the way, and I've never stopped hiking with it. It's incredible. And again, on like when the ground's wet or morning dew, you can just sit down. Not that you really care when you're gross and through hiking, but maybe if you're doing a little bit shorter hike, you're not as dirty. It's just nice. I really like it. But a close second for me is always my anchor chargers,
Oh
and
yeah.
that kind of sounds ridiculous because you're in nature, but my cameras and everything that I have,
If you're a creator,
that
it's a must-have. You got to have it.
yeah. And I was always kind of on the lookout for bigger amps and lighter weight, but again, the anchor is also right up there too. I really like that. And also it's just good for having that, keeping your cell phone charged just in case something goes wrong in the backcountry and you happen to have service or something. At least you have a way to call or do something
Totally.
like that.
Yeah. Well, right on, man. Yeah, and I totally the ass pad it's funny. I've used one on every single hike I've ever done, and then last year I decided, you know what, this year I'm gonna ditch it. I'll get by without it. So I didn't use it on the Arizona Trail. Didn't use one in Scotland, and the whole time I was in Scotland, everybody else had one, and I wanted one the whole time because the ground was like soggy all the time. So it was
Yeah,
ridiculous.
yeah, it's great. If you let someone try it out, they usually won't give it back to you. So
Yeah.
I usually,
Yeah, I
refrain
went
from
back
that.
to it this year. Like I picked up like the cheapest one I could possibly pick up. So like if
Yeah,
it got destroyed, I could just pick up another one. And yeah, it's so and it's funny because it's such a goofy piece of gear, but at the end of the day, just to have just that little they got so many uses. Like I use mine as a windscreen. I use it to like start a fire. I put it between my knees at
yeah,
night
yeah.
if I'm sweaty and sticky. Yeah, they're pretty awesome for sure.
Great. They're
And
awesome.
real quick, you got a shout out from Evergreen Adventure Foods. Said
Oh,
nice to
nice.
see you doing well, or nice to see you doing
What's up,
well.
Toast and
Well,
Jams?
yeah, that was from
Yeah,
Toast.
actually, I don't know if you guys know about Evergreen Adventure Foods. Actually, when I did the AT, the reason that I did it was because of my buddy Toast, Eric, and him and his wife started this company. So we were actually co-workers in Atlanta, and we worked for a nonprofit organization there called Trees Atlanta, where we planted trees in the city. A really cool job. And he had planned to do the AT for quite some time, and so he kind of casually tossed the invite out, and yeah, it changed my life, that's for sure. So thanks. Cheers to you,
Yeah,
Toast.
man, they make some good stuff. I've never been a big dehydrated food fan. Like I don't eat a lot of those types of meals on the
Hmm.
trail. I'm totally like a dirt bag when it comes to just nor rice sides and mashed
Yeah,
potatoes. But yeah, they're pretty good. Like it definitely like it made me rethink some dehydrated meals for sure. I talked about one
yeah.
of their meals I think in the first one of these that I did. Um,
Nice,
yeah,
nice.
for sure. Well, man, hopefully all this stuff ends, and if you get some free
Yeah,
time,
yeah.
get you out here. Maybe I'll come down to Florida. Like Maybe you're the one who
Yeah,
can
dude.
talk me into doing a little bit of Florida Trail or something. We'll see.
Yeah, well, if you come down here, we'll hit Ocala National Forest. I think if anybody wants to know a section to do of the Florida Trail, start there, Ocala National Forest. About 60 plus miles of trail the entire time, so there's no real road walking, and that's the thing in Florida that you end up doing a lot. So worth the section. Do that one, Ocala.
Nice. Well, right on, man.
Yeah,
Well, thanks for joining us. Thanks for talking with us, and I can't wait to see
yeah,
what you
my
do this
pleasure.
year, and can't wait to see you getting back into hiking mode. And I can't wait to see what you
Yeah,
do with
man,
the
I'm
farm.
excited.
Congrats on
Yeah,
expanding and getting everything going with that.
yeah. Thanks so much, man.
All right, bud. We'll talk to you later.
Yep. Yep. Good talking to you guys.
Bye. All right, folks. Big thanks to Redbeard for jumping on here and chatting with us. All kinds of comments rolling, and I'll get to some of those in a second. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to answer a handful of questions, and then we'll bring on our last guest. And then the last portion of Hiker Trash Live, I'm basically just going to answer a bunch of questions. So if you do have a question, if it hasn't been answered, I will definitely get to it, as many as I possibly can. So definitely stick around after our last guest, and I will try to answer as many of them as I can. Saw some kind of goofy comments over in the chat thing. Don't be a trashy hiker. Be hiker trash, folks. This is Hiker Trash Live, not Trashy Hiker Live. So refrain from that, because I don't want to put people in timeout. That's just goofy. That's what children get. You get put in timeout when you act like a child. So. Somebody said, is trail days really worth scheduling on a AT through hike? So I went during my hike in 2015. We were actually ahead of it, and we turned around and came back to trail days. So we were in Daleville, Virginia, which is, I can't remember how many miles past Damascus. I think it's probably about maybe about 100 miles, 150 miles. Could be totally wrong on that, past Damascus. And we ended up taking a week off the trail to just kind of take a little bit of time, maybe 5 days total. And then we drove back to trail days, spent a couple days at trail days, and came back to the trail. If I had to do it again, I would wait. I've always said that I wish that I would have just kept hiking and enjoyed the rest of my hike, and then came back the next year to enjoy trail days. So I think that if you're hiking into trail days, I'm sure it's a great time. But if you're like me and you were past it, or if you're ahead of it and you kind of break your hike up, stop your hike just to come back for it, it's an awesome time. It's a lot of fun. It's great to see people that you haven't seen in a while. But I'd rather do the whole hike and then come back to trail days so I could see some of those people that I got to hike with. Kind of like a big family reunion. So if I had to do it again, that is what I would do. Let's see, what else do we have? It's showed in the chat. Oh, apparently somebody said it's great. It's fine. List great channels and shows in the chat. So yeah, apparently there is a bunch of other creators over here in the chat. So thanks everybody for joining me. I haven't been able to catch everybody. I think I saw Minton Camper was on here. What's up, Minton? Welcome to the chat, man. Let's see. Somebody said, what brand of seat? I use just a real cheap ass pad that I got off of Amazon. I think it was like $6 or something, maybe $5. Really, really cheap one. That's what I get. If you want to see the one that I use, you can go check out my gear list. I think in the description box below, I think there's a link to my gear list. I think I put that in there. You can see the one that I use. And the one that I used to use was the Z Seat by Thermarest. They're super lightweight, really simple, and just nice to use. Got a super chat from RJ, and RJ says, I was planning on starting at trail days and doing a section hike to Daleville, 155 miles. Thanks, RJ, for correcting that. So yeah, that'd be a fun section hike for sure. I really like that section of trail. I like a lot of trail leading up to Damascus, but I think from Damascus to Daleville, you get a lot of really tough trail, kind of going up around McAfee's Knob and Dragon's Tooth. There's some pretty tough hiking up in there, some pretty steep climbs and stuff, but you also get to see a lot of really great features like Dragon's Tooth, like McAfee's Knob, like the Grayson Highlands. So that's a really nice section. For anybody out there that is maybe around Virginia and you're ever thinking about doing a section of the AT, I would highly recommend going from Damascus to Daleville or Daleville to Damascus, because you get a lot of different iconic AT stops in that 155-mile section. So I would suggest that for sure. All right, let's see. Not sure see if we got anything else. Got another super chat from Joseph Downey. Says, do you know anyone that's tried to treat sleep on a I don't know what that is. So what means did they use? Treat sleep apnea. Not sure what that is. So I would say I do not know anyone, because I don't know what that is. I've never heard of that. Got another super chat from Texas Hikeaholics. Says, really enjoy these live chats. Thanks for doing them. Thanks so much, Texas Hikeaholics. Wow. Thank you for the super chat. Really helps the channel out. Really helps me continue to do these. Thank you so much. Thanks to everybody that's doing the super chat. It really helps out. Thank you. Really appreciate it. It's been kind of a weird time on YouTube and all that stuff. If any of you are creators, I'm sure if there's a lot of creators over here in the chat box, you'll all know things have been kind of weird. Things have been up and down because of this whole pandemic. So thank you very much for everyone that has sent a super chat. I really appreciate it. Ooh, Huck Outdoors. What's up, bud? There's a creator right there. Huck said, why did you decide on Kanan cameras over other brands? For me, I've just used a lot of Canons in the past, and I know a Kanan camera. I know how to move around on a Kanan. I know they're very intuitive cameras, so I know how to pick up any Kanan camera, and give me a couple minutes and I can figure out everything on it, all the controls. But the other reason is because of the color science. I really love their colors. There are some other cameras, like Sony makes a really great camera, but I'm not a big fan of their colors. The yellows tend to be a little too yellow. The blues tend to be like purplish. The greens tend to be a weird tinge of green. And you know, I really learned that last year when I was editing the film, because some of the footage that was shot for the AZT film project through the Great Southwest was shot on a Canon camera. And sitting there and trying to color grade those colors was a nightmare. I've just learned how to grade Canon colors and play with Canon cameras. So that's really why I stick to Canon. I just really like their system. And I own quite a bit of Canon glass. So I do own quite a bit of Canon lenses. So I stick to the same system, which is why I keep getting their stuff. Let's see, what else do we have? Somebody said, what is a super chat? Oh, so a super chat is what you're seeing pop up, those big questions that are popping up. It's where somebody can donate a couple bucks and add a question and it pops up. That is what super chat is. So if you see those things, that's what that is. Let's see. Ooh. Oh, sleep apnea. Duh. I totally said sleep apnea. We've all been inside too long, folks. Sleep apnea is a disorder in which breathing... I totally know what you mean now. So in answer to the question about sleep apnea, they said, do you know anyone that's tried to treat sleep apnea on a thru-hike? I do not. I have been around some people that probably need to treat their sleep apnea, but I don't know anyone that has successfully done anything, unfortunately. So, got another super chat. Thank you so much for the super chat. And they are asking, would you be willing to put a Q&A session together for Trail Days 2021? Keep up the great vid post. Yeah, possibly. That's something I might be able to do. I have wanted to go back to AT Trail Days, if that's what you're talking about, AT Trail Days. I try to go every year to PCT Days, but I would love to go do some stuff. I would love to go back to Trail Days on the AT. I haven't been out there since 2015. It's a bummer it got canceled this year. But yeah, I would totally be down for doing something like that 100%. I've had people ask me if I would come there and have a booth. Just, I guess, to answer that question, since you brought it up, I think that's really strange. No, I just like going and hanging out. I go to PCT days every year, Arizona Trail Day, and I just like walking around and chatting with people and hanging out and meeting vendors and stuff. I don't think I would ever do a booth. I don't know why. I'd rather just walk around and and be a hiker. So, but yeah, I'd be totally interested in doing some sort of Q&A session or something at Trail Days. Totally. Absolutely. Got another super chat from Dominic Falcone. Probably saying that last name wrong. I'm horrible with last names. Love your work. Do you have any 3 to 4 day backpacking suggestions for Ohio or close surrounding states? I personally don't. I think that somebody that would be really good to reach out to would be like the Schill brothers. I know that they live in Ohio. Apparently there's a bunch of backpacking YouTube channels, people from Ohio. So I would definitely suggest checking out some of those channels. I used to live in southern Indiana, and personally for me, if I was going to go out and spend 3 or 4 days on a trail, you could definitely go out and get on the Shautoli Trace Trail in eastern Kentucky, which is really close to basically the border of southern Ohio. And through Red River Gorge, I used to do a lot of backpacking in Red River Gorge, so that is where I would highly suggest checking out. Aside from that, whenever I lived in southern Indiana, honestly, the hiking culture, the backpacking culture wasn't really that big, so we traveled a lot. We would go to the Smokies a lot. We would go to some other places in Tennessee, go to Illinois a lot. But I've never really done any I've never done any backpacking in Ohio, but I would consider checking out the Schill brothers because I know that they do quite a handful of trips around their area. Thank you so much for the super chat. I really appreciate it. All right. Oh, another super chat from Hiking Pennsylvania. Do you use your AirPods for a mic or playback? So these are for playback so I can hear everybody that I have coming in. So all of my guests. And then this is the microphone. Testing. That is picking up my voice. So good question. All right. Let's see. I'm going to go ahead and get my third guest in here. And we will see what they have for us. Let's see. Let me get them lined up here real quick. All right. So my next guest is someone that I was actually a guest on their podcast. So I figured I would return the favor, bring them on here, and find out why in the hell they hate hiking. I personally love hiking. I think some of you folks love hiking. And this person, for some reason, hates hiking. So I figured it would be a great opportunity to bring them on and find out what his beef with hiking is. So my next guest is Kyle Hates Hiking. How's it going, man?
What's up, dude? This is awesome.
Yeah. How you doing?
I'm doing all right, Weather's been okay the last couple days. Honestly, pretty good for springtime in Vermont. So been trying to get out as much as I can while still, not going too far, obviously. So it's been all right, but honestly, kind of a bummer with all this lockdown stuff, as I'm sure you were feeling and everybody is feeling. So I'm getting through. Man.
I think we're all feeling it wherever we are. Like no matter where you're at, you're getting some side of it, right? It's pretty wacky. So so for everyone that is not familiar with this gentleman, he is the proprietor. I've had so many proprietors on today. The proprietor of the Trail Tales. I always like tongue twist, man. I always want to say like Tail Trails. The Trail Tales podcast, which is a great podcast. He's had some awesome guests on there, and then he also had me on there one time, and had a great conversation. So I figured I'd return the favor and bring him on here. And he also, was it this year that you started your channel, or was it last year?
Yeah, it was in November of 2019. So yeah, not too long ago.
Yeah, so he's really new. So everybody's, for the question, whenever they said, you know, do you think it's too late to start vlogging your hikes or doing YouTube videos about backpacking? No, obviously not. Because this man is making some very funny videos, some media, some tongue-in-cheek stuff, if you will. I think it's important to kind of put a little humor back in hiking, and that's what I think that
That's right.
you've been able to do very well. So to answer the question, why do you hate hiking? Like, why?
Dude, have you ever hiked before? It's terrible.
It is. It's awful.
Wet. The bugs are awful.
It's awful.
You know, there's mud, snakes, dude. My Trail Tales listeners know I absolutely hate rattlesnakes and stuff. So I don't know. I don't
would love the Southwest.
Yeah. Oh, dude. I'm like, you know, in the future I want to do the PCT and the CDT as well. So I'm just I'm bracing for the snakes out there. But you know, it is what it is.
Yeah, man. So you are where are you at in Vermont exactly?
I live in the Burlington area, so pretty close to the Long Trail. I mean, the whole state of Vermont's not very big, so pretty much everywhere in the state is close to the Long Trail. So I'm close to the Mount Mansfield Camel's Hump section specifically. So pretty popular, pretty famous part, and honestly, one of my favorite parts of that trail as well.
I heard that's a really tough section of the trail too, like the whole Camel's Hump part.
Yeah. Oh, dude, for sure. Like honestly, the whole trail, like north of Main Junction, where the AT and the Long Trail split, is definitely a little bit more difficult than the Appalachian Trail portion.
Yeah.
It's also more scenic in my opinion. I've done it twice, so I'm pretty familiar with it. So it's harder, but you get more views and a little less people. The campsites, the shelters specifically, are like really, really cool in the northern section. So really, really blessed to live here, honestly. I'm also really close to the White Mountains and the Adirondacks. I do a lot of peak bagging as well, working on the Northeast 115. So if anybody like wants to live in like a great central location for like Northeast hiking, Burlington is pretty hard to beat, honestly.
Yeah, so I know a lot of people, they tend to do the long trail in the fall. Is that whenever, like what would you consider like kind of the best time to go do it?
Yeah, dude. I mean, the fall, like everyone knows about, or maybe that's me showing my Vermont bias, but Vermont's obviously famous for the foliage in the fall and
you get all the leaf peepers up there, right? Like people coming from other states peeping the leaves.
I used to complain about them when I was a kid, but now I realize that they're actually a pretty essential part of our economy. So I try not to
for sure. Because isn't like tourism and stuff is like Vermont's #1 industry, right? That's what I hear.
Oh yeah, skiing and beer, honestly, which obviously would fall under the bigger umbrella of tourism. So yeah, we're feeling it right now. I'm a little bit nervous for the summer because that's obviously a big time. Unfortunately, we still got most of the ski season in before the shutdowns happened. But to go back to your question about the Long Trail in the fall is definitely the best time of year to do it, not only because of the colors, but you also don't have as much mud. I'm sure people have heard the Vermud phrase about Vermont before, which I think is a little BS.
When I was going through that section, me and my wife just made jokes the entire time because it wasn't muddy at all. Like we didn't have any mud. So like every time
I'm glad you're saying that.
Anytime anything would happen, we would just be like, Vermud. It's just nonstop.
It's so fun. It's honestly so funny you say that because I've done that first 30 miles of the Long Trail AT. So from the Mass border up to Manchester. Yeah, just south of Manchester Center. The first 30 miles there. I've done it 4 times now, including my thru-Hike of the AT. And so the first 3 times I went through there, I mean, it was a little muddy, but it wasn't that bad. Like, you know, I honestly, I didn't really know any better because it was, you know, some of my first hikes, but it didn't really stick out to me as being that bad. So on the AT, when the people I was hiking around were, as we were getting closer to Vermont, they were like, oh, like the mud's going to be so bad. And I was like, oh guys, like it's fine. It's going to be totally fine. And then when we actually got there, dude, it was literally the worst mud I've ever hiked in. I was like, of course, the first 3 times were totally fine. But the 4th time when I was talking it up and everything, getting my friends all stoked, it was pretty muddy. But we got through it.
In 2015, when we were out there, that's when Scott Urich was going out to set that was the weird controversial year whenever he went out to go set the supported record. And I remember he passed us, and I met him and we chatted for a little bit. But after that, I was following the rest of his journey, and he got it really bad that year. Like, and I know a lot of people that went through there and got it bad. But we, you know, obviously we went back in 2016 when we went through there, and we were probably a little earlier before it really started getting bad. But like, I think we might have had like maybe one little bitty tiny section where we dealt with mud, but that was it. No mud.
I will say my theory is that it's really that first section. So honestly, again, that section from the Mass border up to Manchester Center, that's like the most muddy, I
Right.
think, because even on my AT thru-Hike, once I got north of Manchester Center, I don't remember it being nearly as bad. But I think just because that first little section is so muddy, it gets a lot of use. Obviously, people starting the long trail there,
Sure.
and a lot of day hikers and stuff too. So it's just that first section, I think. But then people just remember, like, oh, as soon as I
Well,
got to Vermont,
it's
it
the
was
same
super
as
safe.
Pennsylvania, right? Like, there's really only one bad section of rocks in Pennsylvania, and
Exactly,
aside from
dude.
that, like, Pennsylvania's not really that bad. I mean, they suck, and it definitely sticks in your brain of like being like, screw Pennsylvania, it was terrible because of all the rocks. But yeah, I feel like it's the same way as like anything out on trails. It's like that's what you remember
Yeah.
more than anything.
Exactly, and I'm also just biased too because I most of my hiking has been in the Northeast, so I'm used to more rugged, muddy trail in general. But
Yeah,
I don't know, it's not that bad. Come to Vermont, it's pretty cool.
right. So I wanted to chat with you about your style of videos. So, so for
Oh,
anybody, there's a reason why his channel is called Kyle Hates Hiking. It's tongue in cheek, folks. Um, and just to remind everybody, for anybody that's on here, if it was one of the people that left one of the comments, this is called Hiker Trash Live, and it never fails. I get a comment. I'm sure you probably get the comments too. Whenever you use the term hiker trash, people are like, "Why would anybody want to be called trash?" All right, so using the term hiker trash, number one, just to get this out of the way before we go into Kyle's shenanigans. Um, Hiker trash is a term of endearment. We use that term just like climbers use the term dirtbag. It's they call each other dirtbags. They call themselves dirtbags because at one time I'm sure there was somebody that called them a dirtbag, and instead of taking offense from it, they took it and they started calling themselves dirtbag as a tongue-in-cheek joke. And it's the same with hiker trash. We call ourselves hiker trash because we're hiker trash, and it's a term of endearment. It's not anything negative. We all love calling each other that, and I personally love being hiker trash personally.
oh yeah.
So, yeah. So, but if you watch Kyle's videos, you'll see a lot of tongue-in-cheek stuff, and I know you have made jokes on me as well on there. You have
Oh yeah.
you've used little cutouts of me, which, by the way, I'm pretty sure that's copyright infringement.
Well, didn't really matter back when I had less than 1,000 subscribers, but I guess I got to think about that stuff now.
No, you use as many as you want. I'll send you a whole file folder full of photos if you want to use them.
Perfect. Less time I have to spend in Photoshop.
I'll Photoshop them for you. No, I won't. So what one of the things I think that you've done is something that I don't think anybody else has done, which is you're kind of making a little bit. I wouldn't say you're making fun of hiking videos.
Poking fun. I like to say
You're
poking fun
poking
because
fun.
obviously making fun sounds like it's in not a lighthearted way as much,
Yeah,
but I like to say just like poking fun.
right.
Just having a good time.
But it also seems like your message, what you're trying to say in your video, it's a legit message, and you're making a legit point and a legit video. But you gotta wing some, I think, and I'm probably definitely to blame for it as well. And there's some of us like where we get on and we're talking about gear and talking about specs and we really get into it and get serious about it. But at the end of the day, like it's hiking. It's like putting a bag on your back and walking through the woods, and it's not special. And none of us are amazing for doing it, unless like you're like Legend or a niche or something. Like they're amazing for doing it.
Oh
Like
yeah.
they get all the credit. They can be as serious as they want. But what I really loved about your videos is how insanely tongue-in-cheek and funny that they are. So hats off to that.
Dude, I really appreciate that. It's like it's honestly been a a choice right from the beginning to make my videos like that. First of all, that's just who I am. Like I'm just kind of a
Yeah,
goofy dude. I'm pretty young. I'm only 24, and I'm just like a goofball. Like I don't take things that seriously, and just consuming so much backpacking content over the years, I just felt like I wanted somebody to make. Honestly, a good example is some of Jupiter's videos. He's done like the
exactly.
making fun of ultralight.
Yeah,
Like I saw those videos and I was just like, that's so funny. Like why don't like this culture is so ridiculous from like an outside perspective. Like we're so embraced in it. I feel like sometimes it's easy to like take it a little bit more seriously, but it's like it's so like trail names like that's the most like ridiculous thing. Like that's just an example. So the culture is just so goofy. And I was like, there's nobody that's really, other than a couple Jupiter videos, there's nobody that's like making fun of it.
Yeah.
There's nobody that's like trying to turn it into comedy. And so I was like, well, I have quite a few miles under my belt, and I also am kind of a goofball. So maybe I can kind of combine those two things. I really felt like there was nobody else that was doing that. So
Right.
I thought it could be a good opportunity to kind of, get my name out there and help people at the same time. And honestly, it's, I'm sitting at like 5,500 subscribers right now, which I'm like so humbled for. The fact that that's only happened in like 6 months is honestly amazing. And the fact that like you've shown so much support and other people have as well.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
been awesome, dude. It's been awesome.
Cool. Yeah, somebody just left a super chat question, or not a question, more of a statement. They said, well, I guess it is a question. They said your hiker jerk videos are the funniest on YouTube. And then they said, do you get any backlash for using other people's images? Just curious. I think we just touched on that. I'm totally going to file a lawsuit against Kyle for using my images.
I haven't gotten any back. Really, the only people I've used like the images for, because for those of you that don't know, I'll basically take like a thumbnail image from like Darwin or Dan Becker's the other one,
Yeah.
and then I'll just like Photoshop so it's just the person's face, and then I'll like pop them up in the corner and have them give some like commentary on what I'm saying or whatever, like make fun of me or whatever. So really the only ones I've done it to extensively, mostly Dan Becker, and he's been really cool about it. Like I got to say, I make fun of him all the time, so people probably don't want to hear me like talk him up here, but he's like, we've talked in private since I've kind of made fun of him. He's been like super cool about it. Like his channel's super like family friendly, and he doesn't swear or make jokes and stuff. And like,
I think it's something that you and I have talked about. I think that there's a way to do it where it's classy, and it's like it's kind of like calling each other hiker trash. It's like a term of endearment. You're like, it's just like what you would do if your buddies you're hanging around with your buddies, and you dog them for something that they did or something that they said that was kind of goofy. Versus like, I think there's some other people out there, we won't mention any names, but I think there's other people out there that are being a little more like, vicious about it, a little more personal, attacking, and legit mean about things. Where I think the way that you do it is, and why I enjoy it, is because I know like that you're playing around, and that yeah, you do have a relationship with the people that you're kind of cracking jokes on and stuff, and that's the fun thing about it. And I think that's where like, I think that we can introduce humor back into creating content that sometimes people take a little too serious, right? Like I'll say something where I'm just playing around, and somebody take it really serious. A couple weeks ago, somebody said something about me shaving off my beard for charity when I shave my beard off, and people ask me that all the time. And I made a joke and said, I'll tell you what, I'll shave my beard off if you cut your right hand off. Like, I'll let you shave my beard off if you cut your right hand off, because like, it's a part of me, right? It's like what I love. And just tongue in cheek, and I thought it was funny. There's some people that really took like offense to that. And I'm like, easy guys, like we're just playing around. Like, it's total jokes.
I do sometimes get people that are upset, but I'll be honest, it hasn't really ever been because I've made, poked fun at people, I guess. Usually the people that get upset are people that expect like a serious video. It's usually not on like the hiker jerk kind of videos, the meme videos. It's usually on the ones where I'm, doing honestly similar stuff to you, where I'm talking about like top 5, backpacks or whatever, like the top 5 kind of videos. I think sometimes people will click on those expecting like a straightforward, like really serious video. And I am serious in like the advice I'm giving, I'm not, giving bad advice or anything, but I'm just like my demeanor, I'm cracking jokes and I'm doing the Photoshops and I'm swearing a little bit and stuff like that. And so I think that kind of gets people sometimes, but the vast majority of people, at least thus far, have been like all about it. So I'm really thankful, honestly. And I'm glad that folks like you like understand that too.
I can see, I think I've been making media long enough, and I've dealt with enough people on and off trail to see two things and see like, this person's legit trying to be mean, and this person is just like, it's all in good fun, and they're actually, and another thing for me is like, if you're putting value out there, if you're creating something, and like, your videos do have some tongue-in-cheek stuff in there where you're poking fun at stuff, but on the same token, it's like you are providing information. You are putting something out there and actually creating something versus just crapping on other people and talking crap.
Right,
Two
right.
two totally different things in my world as being a creator.
Yeah,
and
and,
like,
and I,
you know, something I live my life by, like create. It's, you know, like if you're legit creating something and you're helping somebody out and you're inspiring something, you want to wing a joke in there every once in a while, like you're obviously doing it for the right reason. But if your goal is just to like bash somebody else for creating something or doing something, then so don't go to the dark side, Kyle. Don't do that.
I won't.
Yesterday was
I
May the
won't.
4th,
It
so that
is.
seems like a legit thing to say.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, you do have to walk like a little bit of a line. I don't think I've come close to crossing it yet. I'm certainly trying not to,
Yeah.
but I feel like with this kind of material, like, I don't know. Like I said, like I don't want to cross it. If I ever do, then I apologize to people. But I think it's been fine so far, and especially with like the meme videos, like I've done 2 videos so far that were just purely like satire. Where one of them is called "Hiking Noobs Be Like." And that video was just based off of like stuff that I would have said when I was
Yeah.
first starting. And I was also like 16 years old when I was first getting into this. So it was probably
See,
amplified even more because of
I've
that.
I've thought about doing a video like that. I've thought about it for like years, but then I think like, and this sounds weird, and I don't know how this will come out, but like, I'm worried that if I make that video, like people take it serious. Yeah.
People have been like super stoked on those 2 meme videos I've made. So now I'm at the point where I have to start writing more jokes to keep making them because those are honestly really fun to shoot. And it's funny because a lot of the time I'll be filming those in like my front yard, and I live in like a pretty crowded condo complex.
Yeah.
And so like my neighbors will be walking by and driving by, and they see me in that ridiculous outfit, the Hawaiian shirt and stuff, and they're like, "What is this guy doing?" So I just embrace it. I got no shame.
Nice. I think that we froze up for a second. For anybody that's watching and it froze up, sorry about that. Hopefully everything's back and good again. That got weird. Like it said it completed. But yeah, everything looks okay.
Back?
Stick with us, folks. Figure it out. Technical difficulties. That's what happens whenever you do this live and you go for hour and a half. I'm doing good on time today, man. I'm not doing that
Yeah,
3-hour
are.
stuff today. um,
Famous last words.
yeah, exactly. I'll end up going like 5. But yeah, man, yeah, I really like the way that you're doing it. And I think I think that's something, you know, for everybody out there that's watching, like, you know, if gear's not your thing, if you know, if you're not hardcore, if you don't take yourself seriously, you can do a different, you don't always have to, I just told, as you guys watched, if you did watch, I was talking to Redbeard and told him, like, I basically ripped him off. Like, I ripped off Redbeard, like, when I started making videos. So you don't have to do that type of media. Do what feels good to you and, like, kind of what comes out of you. And, you know, as Kyle said, he's a goofy dude. Like, so he's making videos where he's making goofy jokes, and you can totally do that. So you got to find your own niche. You got to find your kind of your passion and your path to do it. And I think that anybody can make just great stuff as long as you're sharing something with people and you're hopefully helping somebody, whether it's helping somebody laugh for a couple seconds or helping somebody pick out a tent or figure out that Vermont's not really that bad. I think that's the important thing to do if you're thinking about getting into creating. It looks like
Oh, dude, I agree.
somebody said animate Darwin saying shit tickets. I want to surprise you
I
all
could.
in a couple days where I'm going to tell you some big news about TPUs. So I don't know what that means. You'll see. I might be making a big switch. So
Ooh,
yeah, I might
I'm sure
be.
everyone's dying to know what
Yeah.
you wipe your ass with. Don't.
Hopefully. Well, man, thanks for popping on here, man, and chatting with us and spending some time and keep up the funny, awesome work and be careful walking that line.
Oh, I will be. Arwen, dude, I said this yesterday, but I'm so thankful you're showing so much support to my very small channel, and I'm so thankful you have me on here, dude. Much appreciated.
Yeah, you know, it's something that I tell people all the time, and it's for me, it's a small channel, big channel, hiker with thousands of miles, hiker with a couple miles, new, old. At the end of the day, like I'm in this because I love the community. Like I love just sitting down and talking to hikers. Like that's what I got addicted to on the trail, and that's what I like doing now. Like whether it's through creating a film or it's doing something like this or making a YouTube video or whatever. Like that's what I'm in it for. So yeah, It always like sometimes like I'm like, oh, don't thank me, like don't say that, because like let's just hang out, let's just be hikers. Like I just want to be a hiker. So
Well, it's been fun, man.
all right, bud. Well, thanks so much, and we'll talk to you soon.
Sounds good, man.
See ya. All right, so huge thanks to Kyle for jumping on here. Sorry about that big glitch while we were talking. If you are not familiar with his videos, definitely go check them out. They are definitely worth getting a good laugh on. And again, don't take it too serious, right? I think there's definitely some people out there that are making content, no matter what kind of content it is, that is not really tongue-in-cheek. It's more of kind of personally attacking people. And then there's what he's doing, which I think every once in a while we can use to kind of laugh at ourselves, right? Because at the end of the day, again, we're all just hikers. Let's laugh at ourselves. And check out his podcast. I think that whenever I did the Trail Tales podcast, I had posted about that somewhere on the community tab if you want to go check that out. But he's had a ton of really great guests on there. So if you get a chance, if you like podcasts, people always ask me, what podcast do I listen to when I'm on the trail? Trail Tales is one of them. So definitely go check out Kyle's podcast. I would highly, highly suggest it. All right, folks. So we are not even to 2 hours yet, and I've got through my guest, which is awesome. I'm doing great on time management this time. And we just had that one hiccup. Hopefully we won't have another hiccup. So this is the time that if you, Kyle said that Bigfoot is coming on tonight. So there you go. One of the guests on two of the guests. If you want to hear more continued conversation from Bigfoot and Kyle, check that episode out when it comes out. But definitely give, I just had a brain fart, sorry. If you have any questions, this is the time in the live cast. If you have a question, I haven't answered it yet. If it's something that possibly I haven't answered in the past, if it's something new that I haven't made a video about over the past 5 years and you have a question, leave it over here in the chat box and I would be happy to answer that. Let me kind of scroll back a little bit while you guys are getting those together, and I'll see if there are any questions that we missed. Somebody said something about a hiking bidet. I don't know, maybe. Why is that interesting to anybody? I don't know. Somebody said not interested in a 20-year-old's backpacking humor. Well, that's not a way to be Arizona Mike. That's the great thing about YouTube, though, right? That's the great thing about all media. That's the great thing about the internet, is if you're not interested in something, if you don't like something, just don't watch it. Don't follow it. Go find something else. Find something that is funny and that works for you, because that's what it's all about. Somebody asked, have I tried the Z-Packs carbon walking pole? I have not, and don't really plan on it. I think it's kind of goofy, to be honest. It's not for me. I use one trekking pole. I used to use two trekking poles. I went down to one, but no, I don't think I'd ever use a hiking staff. RJ Hikes just sent in a super chat and said a portable CPAP, 10 ounces, the Z2 CPAP from HDM USA. So for the person that was asking about sleep apnea, there you go. Check out the portable CPAP. I'm not a doctor. I don't think RJ is either. So maybe it's a good suggestion. Maybe it'll work. Maybe it won't. Let's see if there's any other questions. Let me scroll back here. A bunch came in. Would you recommend? Let's see. What are some good day hikes in Arkansas? I've never day hiked in Arkansas. I've never hiked in Arkansas, so I would not be one to answer that. Somebody said get IB Tat on. There's a thought. Yeah, IB Tat seems like a pretty decent dude. That might be something that could happen in the future. Let's see. Do you plan on going back to the AT this year? No, I don't. I had a pretty busy year. I was only going to be out on the AT for 2 months anyways. So basically March and April. Then I was going to be getting off, going to Peru to shoot a short film, which I'm supposed to be there right now. That obviously didn't happen. And then I already have basically other plans lined up. I had some projects that I'm working on, until I'm supposed to go up to do the Great Divide Trail in Canada. I will be flying out of Arizona at the end of June, fingers crossed. And after doing the Great Divide Trail, the plan was to jump off of that onto the Colorado Trail. But the plan as of right now is, if for some reason I have the opportunity to postpone my Great Divide Trail hike by a month, I'm just going to not do the Colorado Trail this year, and I'd rather go do the Great Divide Trail. So if I have to, I was going to be starting the GDT at the first week of July. If for some reason that doesn't look like it's going to happen, I might try to start it the first week of August, and then I'll just push the Colorado Trail to maybe next year. So that is the plan for everybody that's been asking that, because I know that I have had that question. Somebody said bug protection, what's best? For me, I carry a bug net always in my pack. Super light. I think it's like less than an ounce. I always carry that because I can't stand having mosquitoes biting my face and swatting bugs. So I use that, and then I actually started using these little wipes called Napel. I cannot stand using DEET. I used DEET for years when I was out on the AT, both in 15 and 16, and the smell of it and just having those chemicals soaking into my skin, don't want to deal with it anymore. So I try to use stuff that is not so harsh, and I think it's called Napel. Actually, I might have, I thought I had a little thing of it in this drawer, but that's what I use. I think I picked them up from REI or a local outfitter somewhere, but they come in a little pack, they're little wipes, and you can just kind of take one wipe and wipe it all up and down you. Yep, that's what I've been using. Let's see, somebody said, aside from the ball to roll out the muscles, any stretches or things for plantar fasciitis? I always just use the massage ball. I picked up actually going back, I found a tennis ball on the Penn Hodie Trail just outside of Dalton, Georgia, and I started using that to roll out my calves and roll out my feet. And then when I was on the PCT, I picked up like a trigger point ball, and now I'm using this little cork ball made by a company called Rology. So yeah, the little massage ball that's the best thing that I've found. At one time, I used a trekking pole to kind of rub things out, but if I have my tent set up and I can't use my pole at the end of the night, that's where that little massage ball really comes into play. So that's what I use, but I've never really had plantar fasciitis, so I can't really speak to that in particular. Got a super chat from Andrea. Thank you, Andrea. Said, keep up the good work, Darwin. Glad I could catch a part of the stream live despite the time difference. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I'm glad you could join us and hang out for a little bit. Thank you for the super chat. Let's see. Somebody just said, ha. Ha. I agree. That's how I feel sometimes. Somebody said, do I still endurance train or triathlon? So for 8 years, I raced triathlon, semi-professionally, which really means I had a couple sponsors, but they didn't pay for anything. I raced for a shop, basically. I raced for a bike shop. So I haven't really raced since 2014 or done any hardcore endurance things aside from long distance hiking, but I still do a lot of cycling. I've always been a big cyclist, and in the past really month, I've actually picked up running again. So for a long time, I stopped running because I was worried that eventually with hiking and riding and running that I was going to destroy my knees. I've never really had good knees in the first place. I've torn my meniscus in my right knee a couple times. I've had surgery on it. So I kind of gave running up. And then really over the last month, running has kind of come back into my life. I've been doing a little bit of trail running, and basically I've just really paid attention to my stride and tried to think a lot about how I'm running and how I'm stepping. So I've been able to change that, did a little bit of research, did some reading, watched some videos on people that have knee problems and have had ligament problems like a torn meniscus, and figured out ways to kind of relieve my knees and hike without or run without hurting those. So I've started running again. But as far as endurance training, aside from just hiking, riding, and running, no real racing or anything. I have no plans to do any type of racing, if that is what you are asking. Let's see. Super chat from Matthew. Thank you, Matthew. Everhart. Matthew asked, most of the areas I hike in required a bear can, but how you choose to either hang your food, use an sack, or just sleep with your food. So I have never slept with my food. I've never put my food in my tent. Typically, if I'm in the desert, if I'm hiking in the desert and I have no other choice, I will take my food bag and I will set it on the outside of my tent, a little bit away from my door. So if something is going to come and get it, it's not going to come inside of my tent. If I am out on a trail where I know there's a lot of black bear, like the AT, I do still use a bear hang. And I've only ever used a bear can whenever it was required. So when I was on the PCT, you have to use a bear can whenever you're going through most of the Sierra because you're in certain national parks. So I've used a bear can out there. I've never used an sack, but I'm thinking about maybe using one for the Great Divide Trail. I haven't 100% decided, and really the main reason I want to use one is because I've never tried one, and I'd love to get some experience with one. I've used a bear can, obviously. I've used an OP sack, so an odor-proof sack. I've used a bear hang. So I've never used an sack, so I think that I might be picking one up, but I'm not 100% sure. Thanks so much for the super chat. I really appreciate it. Let's see. Have I had Feathers on? I'm not sure I know who Feathers is. Unless you're talking about the Feathers that I met out at PCT Days this past year that has a Create tattoo, kind of like mine. No plans, but you never know. Have you heard of the Zerk 40 pack from Mountainsmith? I have. Have no experience with it. Don't know anything about it. Don't know anyone else that is currently using it that I know of. So no opinions. Let's see what else we got here. Someone says, love the sack, worth the extra ounces. Yeah, I'm definitely considering it, so we'll see. Someone said, I'm glad you encouraged Z-Packs to reintroduce the Altiplex. Would you encourage them to make a tent for 6'5" folks? No. You know, with the Altiplex, I just really wanted an Altiplex and I couldn't find one. And I was just randomly in conversation with them and just said, hey, would you guys make me a one-off? They made me the one-off. It brought back. I don't have any real relationship with Z-Packs. I'm obviously not sponsored by them. I've been pretty good friends with Matt from Z-Packs Details for quite some time, but that's about as far as it goes. So no, and I've really tried to change the way I'm doing things this year. So as some of you might know, if you watch some of my gear videos, any gear that is ever sent to me, ever, first off, I've never taken a piece of gear and trade for a review or anything. I've never been paid to do a review. I've never been sponsored. And I've talked about that in the past. But this year, I really decided that if somebody wanted to send me a piece of gear to try, to look at, to whatever, if I decide to keep it, I wanted to pay for it at full price. I want to practice what I preach. And I think that if I love Cottage Company so much, if I'm always wanting to use Cottage Company gear and encourage other people to use smaller company gear, then I should also be doing the same thing and supporting those companies. You know, it's been great for everybody to watch me and support the things that I've done. So I've wanted to make sure that I'm supporting those companies. So this past year, before I left for the AT, I actually took all of the gear that has ever been gifted to me and sent it back to all those companies. And anything that I decided to keep, I had them send me an invoice for, and I paid full price for. And I'll end up making a video talking a little bit more about why going forward. I'm doing some things this year, some projects, and I just want to make sure that I'm practicing what I preach and buying all of my gear at full price. So currently everything that I have, even the pack that I designed with Waymark, the pack that will be released soon, the Evolve, the one that I co-designed, I paid for it at full price. It's just kind of my standards. So yeah. Not to go off on too much of a tangent, but no, I probably not the one to encourage them to do a bigger tent. Honestly, the reason the Altiplex got re-released was totally a fluke. Honestly, I just wanted them to make me a one-off and just make me a custom tent and charge me for it. And they ended up deciding to release it for everybody. So that was kind of it wasn't really intended to happen. It was just kind of I guess a happy accident. So no, I am not the one to encourage them. I'm sure someone else probably could, though. That kind of sounded like a tangent. Someone keeps asking, have you had calm down, Jesus. Have I had on Syntax 77? No. If you go watch the other videos, you can see who I've had on the thumbnails. It says exactly who I've had on. No, Syntax 77 has not been on my channel. I would love to have him on. I love Syntax, have for years. He was one of the first backpacking channels I ever watched. So it would be great. Let's see. Yeah, but calm down. You don't have to leave your question 100 times. It's okay. Here's an interesting question that I will actually answer because I'm going to be talking about this soon. Have you ever tried the Enlightened Equipment Visp rain jacket? If so, how do you think it compares to the Z-Packs Virtus jacket? Yeah, so I own both of them. I actually just bought the new Visp with the pit zips. So back when they were prototyping that rain jacket, I was sent one to check out and to test and to play around with, and it didn't really fit me. I think I made a video where I talked about that. It wasn't really long enough for me, so I ended up not really using it in the field. And they ended up making it a little bit longer, so they made the cut of the back of it a little bit longer, and they put the pit zips in there, which is kind of I gotta have pit zips. I'm just a pit zip guy. I probably don't have to have them, but I like to have them. So when they made those changes, it interested me, and I just ended up buying, well, not just, I bought one a while ago, and they've been shut down because of the whole pandemic, but I bought one, and that will be coming to me soon, and I do plan on making a video basically comparing the two jackets. For everybody that wants to know which one should I get, which one's better, I will be making a full video talking about both of those jackets. So, yeah. How has my Z-Pack sponsorship been impacted by using a Waymark pack? I'm not sponsored by Z-Packs. I never have. Not sponsored by Waymark either. That's why I'm using a Waymark pack, because nobody sponsors me. See, I don't like people telling me what to do. I am a person that really likes doing my own thing, so that's why I don't take sponsorships. You're so clever. Someone said, can I whistle? Sure. Let's see. Somebody said, get Dixie on. So I want to touch on this one more time. I left a comment over in my community tab whenever I posted this yesterday, and everybody wants me to get Dixie on. So first off, I don't really know Dixie, and I have tried to collaborate with her in the past on some things. I either haven't gotten an answer, or she's usually too busy. She's just got stuff going on. Same as me. I have people reach out to me all the time, and I just got way too much stuff going on. So I haven't reached out to her because I'm sure she's got a lot of stuff going right now. I mean, we're both pretty busy with what we do. So doors always open though, always an open invitation. But yeah, I don't really know her that much. Most of the people that I have had on Hiker Trash Live is somebody that I have some sort of past relationship with. I've either met that person in person, I've collaborated with them on something, I've hiked with them. All of the people that I've had on, I have some sort of past conversation history with, some sort of connection with. Dixie and I have no connection. We make videos. That's about it. That's the only connection. But yeah, always an open door invitation on that. If she wants to get a hold of me and come on, I would, sure, let's do it. But that would be why. So many people always ask that. I mean, I have a lot of great people on here. I really enjoy the people that I have on here, especially because I know them and I can have a fun conversation with them. So I like having the people that I've had on here quite a bit. Any future Backlash collaborations? Maybe bringing in Dan Becker and doing the PCT. That is a wild combination. I never thought about that. Yeah, I would. I talk to the Backlash all the time. Yeah, would love to have him come on sometime, and I'd love to do something in the future with him, especially a bike tour. He is really into bike touring. He really got into that when he did the Underground Railroad. And at the same time he was out there, I was on the Blue Ridge Parkway. I would love to do some riding with him. I had a really good time with him in Scotland, so I would love to collaborate and do something with him again. Somebody said Art Garfunkel treks too. Did you ever meet him? No, I've never met Art Garfunkel. I wish. I actually love Simon and Garfunkel. Bridge Over Troubled Water is, I think, one of the greatest albums ever recorded of all time, especially folk albums. So, man, that would be great if I could meet Art Garfunkel out on trail. If you run into Art Garfunkel before me, tell him that I'm looking for him. Who makes my Ditty bag? So the Ditty bag that I use is made by a company called Hilltop Packs. They make custom stuff. So they made me, I had them make me an Outdoor Evolution branded, so that logo on the Ditty bag and my bear bag. I bought those from them last year, at the end of last year. So if you haven't, anybody out there that doesn't know what I'm talking about, go check out my gear video, my 2020 gear video. You'll see those bags in there. Super cool. They print on DCF, which is really awesome. Let's see. There's so many questions. So I said, just made my dog bark when I whistled. Hopefully they barked again. Share your scariest moments while hiking. I made a really old video talking about my scariest moment while hiking. I got caught in a forest fire. You can go find that on the channel somewhere. Little scavenger hunt for you there. I think it's called Scariest Moment While Backpacking. Go check that out. I would highly suggest it. It's an old video, so it's funny. It'll be funny to see me not really know what I'm doing, talking to people and talking to a camera. Go check that out. Aside from that, I don't really have that many scary moments. Usually just hot, hungry, and tired moments. That is typically my thing. Thanks, Darwin, for doing these. No problem. Thanks for coming and hanging out. Any advice for new creators? Yeah, just create. Just put something out there, no matter what it is, whether you think it's good, whether you think it's bad, no matter what style it is. Don't try to emulate anybody else. Make your own thing. Be your own person. Inspire somebody. Get somebody else to want to, in return, create something. I think that that's the best gift we can give each other, is inspiring each other to continue to create. So that would be my advice. Would you ever consider trail running? Yeah, I trail run now. I even have one of those goofy trail running vests by Ultimate Direction for anybody that's asking. And no, I won't do a review of my running vest, but I do have a running vest. Keep all my crap in when I'm running. Will Nemor be on a future episode? I don't know, maybe. Nemor's kind of been MIA for a little bit, so maybe he wants to keep it that way. You ever met Chocolate Balls? I have not. I know who Chocolate Balls is, but I've never met him. Let's see. What do we got? Man, the comments keep hopping. Sorry, guys. I'm trying to search through. And then some of these I'm just not really interested in answering. How was your experience choosing wireless earbuds on the trail? Did you notice draining your battery fast? No. They work out for me pretty good. I run with them. I ride with them. I hike with them. This has actually probably been one of the best investments I've made in a while as far as technology goes. I can't stand screwing with cables and cords all over the place. So I have destroyed so many headphones on the trail because like they've come out of my ears, they've come unplugged, and they've gotten caught on a branch or something. I've ripped them. On the PCT, I destroyed a pair. So these are amazing because I don't have to screw with that. They stay charged for a long time. Somebody said bike tour video. I'll eventually do another bike tour and do some videos on it, promise. Especially this fall. What's your favorite luxury backpacking item? I'll say a camera, a big camera. If you watch my gear videos, you'll notice that I carry a really big camera with me with big lenses. That's my luxury item. I love shooting video. So, If you could have any celebrity unrelated to hiking on your show, who would it be? I don't know. I'll go with Pete Townsend from The Who. I'm a huge Who fan, always have been since I was a kid. Billy Corgan, lead singer of Smashing Pumpkins. Again, big Smashing Pumpkins fan. It's probably a musical person. Like, I'm always a musical person. I'm always going to go with somebody musical. To kind of switch it up a little bit, I'll say Kevin Smith. Kevin Smith, the director and actor. I love Kevin Smith. He is one of my favorite creators. Whether he's an actor, whether he's making films, podcast, love Kevin Smith. I would love to sit down and pick his brain and chat with him. So, what is on my current hiking playlist? Here, I'll tell you real quick. I'll tell you exactly what's on there. I'll go real fast. So I do have actually a hiking playlist that I put together just for the AT. I'll read off a couple things that are on there. Uncertainly Deranged by Bayonne. Wires by the band Red Fang. Flock of Dimes, Birthplace. Love Flock of Dimes. Don't Want to Fight from the Alabama Shakes. The Bump from Deer Tick. These Days by Dr. Dog. Feet Don't Fail Me Now by Queens of the Stone Age. Metallica's The Four Horsemen. Down by Run the Jewels. Let's see what else. Electric Light Orchestra, or ELO, Telephone Line, one of my favorite songs of all time. Be Comfortable Creature by Explosions in the Sky, and I'll do 3 more. Sleep Now in the Fire by Rage Against the Machine. Moon Dance by Van Morrison. And we'll go with Damn Right I've Got the Blues by Buddy Guy. That is what is currently on my playlist. There's a bunch of other stuff on there too. I have a really eclectic taste in music, so let's see. AZ Colby, what's up, Tim? AZ Colby 40. He said, Darwin, I'll come on with you. Call it old guy from the AZT. Tim Colby's a great man. Really helped me out a lot last year when I was on the Arizona Trail and shooting the film project. Thanks so much, Tim. Do you use wet wipes for hiker shower or shower in lakes? I shower in towns. Every once in a while, I'll wipe myself down with some water. I'll just take my buff, which I don't have on right now, I just realized that, and I will just dip it in some water and just kind of wipe myself off if I'm super sticky and sweaty. But that's it. I never use wet wipes. Wet wipes leave a sticky residue on my skin. I don't like it. Someone said no Springsteen on my list. Yeah, there was some Springsteen on my list. I just didn't read it. The River. Bruce Springsteen's The River is like one of my favorite all-time albums. So yeah, there's definitely some Springsteen on there. And all right, folks, if you want to leave a couple more, I'll scan through here. I'm going to just answer a handful more questions, and we're going to call it. Lot of questions, whole lot of questions. I'm glad I get to answer some more questions this time. Let's see. Someone said, Darwin Gear, should we expect to see some of your designs coming under your own brand? No. No. I definitely won't have my own brand. I mean, I have Outdoor Evolution, just doing collaborations to help give back to public lands. So every collaboration that Outdoor Evolution's done, did a fanny pack, we did a beanie, a beer, a coffee, all of that, we don't make a profit off of. I don't get any revenue, no money off of that. I just always ask that the company donates back to public lands, a trail association, national parks, national forest. Ooh, my throat's getting dry, folks. Do you have a video on planning a section hike? No, I've never done a video on really planning any hike, just kind of more general information about maybe planning a thru hike. Everybody plans hikes in a different way. Everybody does research a different way. Everybody goes to do a trail a different way. So me making a video showing other people how to plan probably wouldn't be that great. So no, I don't really have any plans. Someone said you have a good playlist. Thanks. It's sporadic. I read off a lot of stuff that some people might know who they are. There's a lot of stuff on there that a lot of really obscure stuff that I listen to. But thank you. What's the best time to start the PCT northbound? April 3rd. That's when I started. And that's the only time I know when to start. So I'll say April 3rd. I've never started any other time, so I can't give a suggestion on any other time. And give you God. Who's that? To the person who keeps leaving a comment and it's being held for review, there's a reason why it's not getting answered. You're putting it up there too many times, and I'm not gonna read that comment. Sorry, bud. Someone said, have you ever heard the song All Over You by the band live? And do you think the snare hit in the beginning is the greatest moment in music history? Love that song, number one. And I know exactly what snare hit you're talking about. Pretty amazing. That is the most obscure question that anyone could have possibly asked me. You must be a music geek as well. Greatest moment in music history? That's a tall order, brother. I don't think so. I don't think it is the greatest moment in music history. I would say there's so many good moments in music history, but nah, I don't think the snare hit is the best one. It's pretty good though. I'll give you that. There's a lot out there. That's a tall order to ask that question. Maybe I'll just do a whole episode of this one time, or just do nothing but talk about just music geek stuff. Someone said, Colby said, get Hike Oregon on. Yeah, I'd love to get her on and chat with her for a little bit. I just talked to her the other night actually, so I would like to get her on for sure. Then the older ones. I'm getting. We're dwindling down here, folks. We're getting pretty close to the end, I think. Yeah, somebody said I have a so long. Good for tall people. Yeah, I would, for the guy who asked about getting Z-Packs to make a bigger tent for someone 6'5", check out, if you don't mind Sil Nylon, check out the Lightheart gear So Long. It's supposed to be a great tent for really long cats, so that's what I would suggest checking out if you don't mind having the Sil Nylon. Anybody else? Favorite guitarist? Ooh. I'd say it'd have to be a toss-up. Man, it'd have to be a toss-up between Albert King and, for any of you that know who Albert King is, old blues musician, excellent guitarist. The way he put chords together was just absolutely amazing. So Albert King, I'll go with, oh man, that is a really hard question. I'm a guitarist, so I have a lot of favorite guitarists. Honestly, if we're talking about tones and not just playing style, if we're just simply talking about tones, I'm going to say Billy Corgan from the Smashing Pumpkins. Go listen to Gish. Actually, go listen to their first big 3 albums. Listen to Gish, Siamese Dream especially. Siamese Dream is one of the greatest guitar albums of all time. And Melancholy and the Infinite Sadness. His guitar tones and his guitar work on those albums is just mind-blowingly good. Mind-blowingly good. He is so good with crafting a perfect tone. Both him and James Iha. So I would say, yeah, I'd say Corgan probably. Whenever I heard Siamese Dream for the first time, whenever I was a kid, That album is what made me want to start playing guitar. When I heard those tones, that's what made me want to start picking up a guitar and playing with different tones and playing with different sounds. So I'll give the credit to Corgan for sure. Don't know why that hid, but somebody said Greg Allman. Yeah, Greg Allman's a phenomenal guitarist. Really enjoying. Oh, there's so many questions that have come through. All right, guys, I think that we are kind of dwindling down here, honestly. Somebody said, thank you for your time. Thank you for your time. Thanks for coming and hanging out. I really appreciate it. This is so fun to do for all of us to sit around. Ooh, someone said, what about Punk Propaganda? Yeah, Propaganda. Great band. I was a big Tiger Army fan at one time. Clash. Gotta love the Clash. Listened to, man, The Germs, Sloppy Seconds. So many bands. I played in a punk band when I was in high school, so I have a really big punk background. So many good punk bands. Yeah, I love punk. Love really classic, good punk. Pretty phenomenal. Derek Trucks. Yeah, now we're just talking about music, which is awesome. I'll just make an entire YouTube channel where we talk about different music. Not as good as the dude from Korn, though. Ooh. Somebody says Adore is the best Pumpkins record. No, you need to go listen to Siamese Dream again. Absolutely, bud. Listen, go dive into Siamese Dream. Put a big set of cans on, big set of headphones on. Put that album on and listen to those guitar tones. Listen to the chord structures that they're putting together on that album. That makes that the best Pumpkins album. Yeah, somebody else said Siamese Dream all the way. 100%. All right, guys. I think Anything Fat Records. Yes. I think someone said you're a good human. Thanks. If you're a good human as well. I try to be a good human. I think that we can all do our best to be good humans, especially in a time like this when we all need to be kind of coming together and hanging out, and especially in the hiking community, being a community, because we can't be on trail and be that community. Be a community off trail. So many good punk bands coming through. Stooges, NoFX, Bad Brains, DC Represent. All right, folks. Thank you so much for joining me. It was an awesome time having on Bigfoot, having on Redbeard. I'm really excited to see what Redbeard makes in this next year and what he hikes, and having on Kyle Hates Hiking. Thank you guys for sitting here and hanging out and chatting, and thanks for the music conversation. I love talking about music at the end of the day, and I will agree, Scott, Bad Brains is one of the greatest bands of all time. Yeah, Bad Brains really was one of the greatest bands of all time. Guys, thank you so much. Hopefully we can all get back out on trail. Hopefully we can all enjoy each other, not just here online in a chat box and me talking to a camera, but maybe we can actually get out and be a community out in the field. Out on the trail. I appreciate you guys. Take care of each other, respect each other, love each other, and hopefully you all stay well. Until next time, see you guys.